Hey, is this thing on? Lance, Nick, ready? Can you hear me? Welcome to the Live Free and Hunt podcast.
All right, guys. If you guys can like us and subscribe on YouTube, just so it help us out a little bit. Also, check out our page, Facebook and Instagram. Follow us if you want. You don't have to, but we're gonna be putting out some stuff this year. Hopefully, better stuff, obviously. But you know, oh yeah. Hey, first year was definitely a trial run. So this year, I have great feelings about this year coming up with filming and just putting out more media for everyone. So like and subscribe on every platform we got and help us out. Thanks, everyone.
All right, welcome everybody. Live Free and Hunt podcast episode number 4. We got Adam Evans and Kevin Plante on today, and we're going to get to it. We're going to talk turkeys.
Deer.
More turkeys.
And deer.
And maybe some filming.
Yeah, with just a little bit of everything, just shoot the shit a little bit and just have fun with this, just to get to know each other. And, yeah, let's get right to it.
Let's get to it.
You're like a bad deck of cards that loves to lose. You don't listen to me, and I don't want you to, 'cause we sure have fun throwing my money away. You bet high, I bet low. You're all in and I'm all broke. Another paycheck down the drain.
All right, we're taking off.
All right.
We're good.
You good?
You're good. We already did an intro, but we can get right into it, guys. We got Kevin and Adam with the New Hampshire Back 40 with us, and we're just ready to shoot the shit. And
Made a long drive up. How long?
We did. Hour and a half.
An hour and a half.
Hour and a half to get up here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's
yeah,
huge.
we appreciate it, guys.
We don't mind traveling when you're heading north. You know?
Yeah.
If you guys were down in Mass, we might have turned you down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's fun. We can get right into it. I want to hear both stories of how you guys grew up hunting and what guys led you to what you're doing now with New Hampshire Back 40.
Sure. I'll go first. Mine will probably be a little bit shorter than Adam's. I got into hunting I was probably 13 or 14 is when I started. Got my dad taking me out, but before that, I don't have a whole lot of family history in hunting. My dad hunted a little bit when I was real young, 2, 3, 4 years old. Then my family moved down to Florida. My dad got rid of all his guns and stuff. But I grew up watching the ESPN2 hunting shows every weekend morning.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Miranda, Jimmy Houston, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And for some reason, even as when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, I just would watch the hunting shows every single weekend nonstop. I'd have a little kid-sized table and chair, and I'd put a chair on top of the table and pretend I was in a tree stand shooting little suction cup arrows on TV. So it's just something for some reason I was just kind of born with this drive to get into it.
Yeah.
And then my family ended up moving back up to New Hampshire. And it took a little while. Same thing. I still watched all the hunting shows and stuff. And then probably when I was 13 or 14, my dad took me out for a youth weekend.
Turkey, deer?
Deer.
Nice.
I don't think they had the turkey youth weekend yet.
Oh, probably not.
Yet then. Saw the biggest bull moose I still ever seen in my life that day.
Really?
Saw no
Yeah.
deer. We went. I think I went youth weekend the next year, and then the following year we got into archery hunting.
Yeah.
My mom wasn't big on guns at the time, being in the house and stuff. So me and my dad both got bows and stuff. Got into archery hunting when I was 14, I believe. So I started shooting the bows, and then we didn't see a deer until I was 15. So I think we went 3 years without ever even seeing a deer. I'd go out with my dad. He'd have the gun in his hands before that. I never really hunted. I just kind of went with him out in the woods and stuff. And the very first deer I ever shot when I was 15 is the very first deer I ever saw while hunting.
With
Oh,
a bow?
sweet.
Oh, with the gun.
With a bow.
Oh, with the bow.
Yeah,
That's
no
awesome
shit.
for your
Yep.
first year shooting
Yep.
with an archery.
Yeah, so I was 15, shot with a bow, and that was the very first deer I ever saw while I was hunting. And then from there on, I didn't see another deer until I was 18.
Yeah.
So I mean, I started off real raw.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah, I mean, my dad, God bless him, I love
Yeah.
the guy to death. He didn't really have any woodsmanship skills, really. I mean, not,
Yeah.
but he
Just go walk out in the woods. Sit
Yeah, he was
someplace?
out
Yeah.
there because I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Right.
You guys hunting at a tree stands or just on the ground?
My dad had built like 12-foot homemade wooden tree stands.
Oh no shit.
Really?
Pressure treated lumber and stuff. My dad was a union carpenter and stuff, so like he knew his way around
Yeah.
Tool.
a tool.
Yeah.
So yeah, he made, and they were probably a good 200 pounds. So we'd lug
Holy
them.
smokes. Holy.
We'd lug them into the woods in 2 pieces.
Yeah.
And then we'd set these things up in the woods. And
Hammer
then,
and nail.
Yeah, and then we'd sit that spot over at day after day after day. So I was brought up with, in hunting, everybody says, oh, it's all about time spent in the woods. Well, it's time spent in the woods the appropriate way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I sat
definitely.
the same exact tree stand for
Yep.
4 straight years before I
I've
saw a
done
deer.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of these days, boy.
Yep. Exactly. And then once I was 18, I saw my second deer. I shot that one with a shotgun. And then from there, I kind of started getting into more research, following the forums and the
Chase and
online,
everything.
the
Yeah.
online, social media aspect
Right,
started
yep.
kicking in, and just reading magazines, watching more shows. And a lot of the shows, they're just marketing publicity stunts, but I was still able to pick up little pointers
Little
here
tips
and there.
It still
and
gets
there.
you hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as time's gone on, then it was a couple more years before, I saw another deer. I shot another deer, and then I'd say the last 5-6 years, I've started seeing deer more consistently, shooting deer more consistently.
Taking everything in that you learned over the years and just
Correct.
putting it in play.
Yeah, exactly. Learning the
Yeah,
woodsmanship skills,
that's-
just
yeah.
developing all that stuff. And it's been a good learning curve. I've had a lot of great resources. Meeting Adam has been huge.
Yeah.
Just learning stuff from Adam. I mean,
Old timers.
yeah.
Do you just call him old?
No, I didn't.
Great, but
kidding.
this guy is young now.
But there's many other people I've reached out to and I've started talking to. I'm a pretty quiet guy.
Yeah.
I got my friends and my family I talk to closely, but I'm not real outgoing until I really get to know people. So I've had to kind of go out my comfort zone a little bit. Like when I got in touch with Adam, it was just a post he had made. I don't know if it was on his personal post or the NHBack40 page, just saying, hey, just kind of looking for somebody to help provide content. And
Yeah.
it was me reaching out to him saying, hey, this is something, I've thought about getting into filming. I might be interested in, because I grew up in Nashua, down south New
Yep.
Hampshire. And none of my friends hunted. I had no friends that hunted, no family that hunted.
That's crazy.
So you're kind of
It
just
is.
Somehow
like,
you're just
it's
with
fun
these-
hunting with friends, but
yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
I see what
I
you're
go
saying.
out and I see stuff. Even when I wasn't seeing deer, I was seeing other stuff. I was seeing moose. I was seeing a lot of moose. I was, I was seeing foxes, bobcats, seeing all these other critters. I've had mice run over my legs. and
Right.
I've had turkeys at my boots.
Right.
So you tell all these people about this stuff, and it's like you tell them about it, and they just like, oh yeah,
that's cool.
That sounds neat.
Right, yeah.
No, you don't understand.
Exactly. So like that's really what attracted me to the filming side of things. So when Adam made that post, and I kind of went out of my comfort zone, especially just to reach out and say, hey, this is kind of something that
Yeah,
I'd be interested in.
that's
And
awesome.
I'm very glad he did, by the way.
Yeah.
I tell you
Yeah.
what.
Yeah.
You guys got to.
Yeah, so
Good-
so we
good
met up and
going
we
on,
talked, and I've been real fortunate. A lot to learn from Adam, and I've definitely become more successful as a hunter. Probably as a person, just reaching out to more people.
Right.
There's other big name people here in the Northeast that I've become friends with and talked to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Neil Pendleton, everybody up here in New Hampshire knows
Oh,
Neil,
yeah.
and Neil's a good friend of mine.
And he can shoot some bucks.
Yes, he can.
Amazing what
I
that guy
don't
can
know.
do.
I don't know how he does it. But
Yeah, Johnny Brown's another one, local guy. He shot
Yeah.
the BTF buck a few years ago. He shot a flyer buck. Another one I've reached out to, and they've all been real. Carter Heath, the regional director for the NWTF.
Yeah.
I got involved in the NWTF. Another thing that I stepped out of my comfort zone. I love hunting turkeys.
Oh yeah.
Getting involved with them and becoming friends with Carter. Is just he's real successful in the deer woods. He's had a long time, a lot of experience in the woods, just bouncing ideas. I'm constantly messaging these people, even Adam during the off seasons and everything. Sending them pictures of maps or trail camera
Yeah.
photos, or just hey, what do you
That's
think?
what we do
What do you
all
thi-
day.
what do you think of
Yeah,
this
he
spot,
he does a lot of work. I give him credit for someone who didn't have a background growing up in it. The amount of time he puts into it shows.
It's a drive. It's the passion he has
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
It's just that's what,
It's a learning experience.
Man.
Every time you're out there, you're learning something new. It's which is
all
awesome.
the time.
And
Yeah.
people are learning a different way now. He's a big guy on the hunting public. And
Yeah,
that's
follow
something
those
I
guys.
never grew up with hunting shows.
Right.
I had
Right.
a grandfather who was out in the woods trapping and shooting deer and everything. I think me and him are about as polar opposite as you can get as far as coming up into the sport and maybe our approach and everything else. But there's something to it. And those guys out there are shooting deer and coming about them in a different way than I ever thought about approaching it.
Right. Yeah.
But you see it work, and it's neat to have that other. He influences me too. I ain't too shy to say it.
Yeah.
And he's a hell of a guy to have met and brought on to New
That's
Hampshire
awesome.
Back 40.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, so it's just been a slow progression since I was a kid to where it's an obsession now to where
Yo, it's 365 days a
Yeah.
year. It's
I
Can
mean,
you go to work?
same way.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about new places to hunt now.
Yeah,
Work,
I'm not going to say that I don't have two computer monitors at my desk where one's on Onyx and one's on my actual work. I mean, but that's never happened before.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. And Adam, I'd like to hear a little story from you, how you grew up hunting.
Yeah, guns in my family and the hunting tradition from the day I was born, pretty much. My grandfather, like I said, was a big hunter. My father, he's not a great hunter, but he always took us out in the woods. I think I was 6 years old when I had my first 22. Back then, it was nothing for us to go out in the woods with the boys with a 22 and a 410. I think I had 3 or 4 guns by the time I was 12.
just go
Right.
get lost for the day.
Yeah, I know
what
how
we
that
would do.
is.
Yeah.
We'd spend the day out in the woods. We'd travel for miles out there, just farting around and shooting squirrels and what else. And that was just how we got brought up into it, I guess. Now, I never shot my first deer till I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Same
So-
here.
Yeah. Me and my wife had gone to California in '96, and when we got back is when I got into bow hunting. And when I got into bow hunting, that's when I really started to learn how to hunt. I had a brother and a buddy who used to bow hunt, and that's when New Hampshire started coming out with you had to take the bow hunting course if
Yep.
you wanted to get it. And I
Yep.
never had my license, so they said, you better run down and get your license or you're going to have to take the course. So that's how I got into bow hunting. And what I used to do was go sneaking around in the woods trying to find my brother and my buddy. And when I started sneaking around trying to look for those guys, I started sneaking up on deer. And I started shooting them. Now, my brother's never shot a deer with his bow. I've shot maybe, 15 or 20 of them by now. And I started realizing that what I was doing was working for deer hunting.
Right.
And from that point on, since the 90s, I've shot multiple deer every year. I've always filled my tags.
Nice.
Haven't had a problem doing that since. But bow hunting has definitely been the biggest part of hunting for me.
You really think that makes you, both of you guys? You
Absolutely.
guys are both big archery hunters. right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you got to get close to those deer too.
I know. Well,
that's the
I've archery hunted since I was probably 16 or 17, and not gun season was always like a big thing in my family.
Yep.
And it was, my dad especially, he bow hunts, but gun season was gun season. We're gonna go hunting. It wasn't until, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago until I started, like, I guess probably with YouTube videos and probably maybe watching you guys, like getting into archery, like doing the right things and trying to set up, and it's been terrible. I shot my first archery buck this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was awesome. I missed him at first. They came. It was a spike and a little basket 6 that came in, and right underneath my tree stand, 7 yards maybe. I gave that fucker a haircut right over his back. I was like, oh no, my camera died, or it was.
footage just stopped rolling.
Because it was
cold
like
that
10
morning,
minutes, and then it would stop, and then I had to hit play again.
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
the
know.
cold affects the batteries big
Oh
time.
yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
died, and it jumps
Yeah.
off to 40 yards, and I ended up whacking it then. But I hear people say, if you want to be a good hunter, become a good archery hunter.
Yep,
And
definitely.
You guys
I missed 4 deer before I finally shot one with my
Wow.
bow.
with your bow, yeah.
Scratched them. I remember being so excited the first time I had some deer hair on my broadhead.
I
was
got
showing
one.
everybody. Look, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. And then finally you connect. And actually, the first time I shot a deer, because I'd already shot a bunch with rifles, or whatever.
Right.
I was trying to help my brother get one and put him up in a stand, and we were right behind my house. And they winded him, and he gave me a little shout out we were using 2-way radios back then,
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, we had a couple deer. They winded me. I think they're coming your way." So I just waited, and there was a doe and a skipper working their way, and I'm hiding behind a rock, and I finally got a shot off on one, and I stuck it good right in the chest. She ran right by me. I could see the arrow for 5-6 seconds right in her.
Right.
So I got my brother on the radio. Said, I just got a shot off. And he's like, you did? I said, yeah. He said, did you hit it? I said, I sure did. You sure? I said, dude, the arrow was sticking right out of her chest on the way by. So he said, all right, I'll get down and come over towards you. So I just sat there and waited. And then, you know how it is. You relive the whole hunt again, tell him everything that happened.
Yeah.
So we decided to go look for the deer. We started heading over to where I last saw it, and I found my arrow on the ground. And there's a swamp out there. So I told him, I said, look, I'll stay on the blood.
Yeah.
And what you do is hook around the swamp, get on the backside. If I bump her out, you'll see her taking off, and we'll go. So we start putting together a whole plan. And he learns it, man. He hits me on the arm. He goes, dude, your deer's right there. So we're making this whole plan. The deer's laying on the ground. But that was the first deer I shot. We're both there. And it's just funny the way it happened. I was just so pumped up that the deer was standing
This is what
10
we're
feet
going to
from
do.
us. This is what we're going to do. And then from then on, we've just been shooting them left and right, I guess. But
So, carry on with your how you grew up.
I don't know. That's pretty much it, I guess.
How'd you get into back 40? How'd you get into just filming your hunts?
I think I started filming because you start seeing a lot of neat stuff out in the woods, and you start telling people about it, and they either don't believe you, or you can't quite explain what you saw.
Yeah. How you feel about it, right?
I remember it was one time I was sitting out there, and I was watching a squirrel, in the fall, they're gathering acorns, and they're going down the stone wall, and they come out with their cheeks empty, and they take off and go get some more. Well, I had another squirrel come running along and watching. So that squirrel would go down, drop off his acorns. The other squirrel would come in, steal his acorns, and take off. Well, this went back and forth a few times, and the first squirrel started realizing someone's fucking around with my little stash. So he waited. And then the next one come down to take them. They both went in the hole. And then they come out, and they're going up down the tree.
You son of a bitch.
I don't know who won the fight because they look the same, but it's stuff like that. So I ended up getting a Sony Handycam, 8mm tape, like we were saying, and just trying to film stuff.
Right.
And I used to get up. Before work, I'd always be out, because we had the field down the street from the house, so I could sit on the edge of that, film before I'd go to work, and then every night before the sun went down, I'd start filming, just filming deer. And we had 3 big bucks one year. We called them the 3 Amigos. First time I saw them, 2 8-pointers come down to feed under an apple tree, and they start looking behind them, and I'm thinking, there's got to be another deer. This big old 10-pointer come in and run them off. And that was one of those cases where you follow them all through the summer, and then archery season opens up, and they're gone.
That's how it always is,
That's how it is. It's our life.
So we did that for a while, but eventually the good digital cameras came out, and that was the game changer. So I think it was 2014, if I remember right, when I decided we're going to get back into it.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure out video editing. And that's when I think I started watching hunting video shows on TV. Mm-hmm. I'm not one to watch much TV at all. I never find anything good to watch on it. But I started thinking we should put some shows out. But it's tough in New Hampshire because there's not a lot to film.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to put in a lot of time. So I started doing that just myself, self-filming, lugging all the camera gear out there, and you start slowly learning what you need and what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
And I started filming some hunts and blowing it. Like I was saying, I wouldn't hit record. I shot a couple deer I should have had some good footage of. Never hit the record button. I got follow-up where you're getting it. So over the years, you start putting things together, and then I started realizing, boy, it'd be nice to have someone else on board.
Right.
And that's when I threw it out there, and Kevin replied, and he lived right in Ware, which is the next town
That's
over.
awesome.
Yeah. So I scooted over there and met him, and so glad he spoke up because he puts in the time. We've had a couple other guys come on that just people
put in the effort.
They want to be a part of it, but they don't realize what it takes. I think
it's some work.
It
is some work,
especially with the family now. It's like, can I go out this weekend? Well, okay, never mind.
Never mind. I didn't want to go anyways.
I
wasn't planning on it, but if you're gonna let me, then I guess I'll go.
But just carrying the extra gear around is a whole other aspect to it. I mean,
and you guys both self-film me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, we'll film together every once in a while.
We should do that more often, film together.
That's what I think
I'm going to let them know right now, right here.
This is
work
what we're
best
doing
for us is having someone film, and I enjoy the shit out of it. So it's like if you didn't have, if I was there instead of filming a duck hunt that day, we would have had better footage. So
footage.
it was just stupid stuff like that, just little stuff.
I've been fortunate the last 2 years.
Oh, you had a couple great videos.
I got the bear on video. I got the deer on video.
Yeah.
I mean, to get one hunt a year in New Hampshire on video is by yourself is
right.
a task in its own. So I've been fortunate so far, but it's tough to get two guys together schedule-wise. And
that's what we fall into,
and I mean, like we were saying, hunting in New Hampshire is so hard to have two guys sitting together when you could be spread apart and double your chances.
That's what, that's
know?
what we were thinking with that.
And then come gun season, once it gets cold, now you're looking around extra clothes, and now you might not be sitting in a stand. Now you're moving around, so now try and still hunt with a camera. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's doable, but good luck.
There's a couple guys around here that I don't know. The guy that does tracking 200 with
Jeff Doyle.
Jeff Doyle.
Jeff Doyle.
Yeah.
He does everything GoPro.
I don't know what
Yeah,
he
he's
has
got a-
for a setup, but it's like the GoPro.
It's cool.
Is back on his
I've seen the
backpack.
video. I've watched all his videos. It's cool, but
Oh, yeah.
whatever he has going it's over. It's like an over the shoulder view,
Right.
which is pretty neat. I mean,
I've seen him just because he'll kind of pull up on a deer or whatever, and then zoom into wherever he's shooting.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can see the deer.
I think that's just cropping in on editing. Yeah.
exactly.
You can't always get a kill shot, but when you're tracking, I mean that is
It's like you're there with 'em.
That's the easiest thing.
Yeah.
Besides
Yeah, it
having
is.
a caboose with a camera,
Yep.
another guy with you.
And we tried that this year, having someone behind. Like I would film him tracking deer and shit, crunchy snow and two guys walking through the.
Twice as loud.
Yeah.
We came close a couple times, but it just never worked.
Might as well
out.
just
Never
start
paid
shooting
off
off
for us.
rounds when I'm on the
after
trail.
miles and miles.
Yeah.
But usually when we're hunting, we both know we're hunting.
Yeah.
And I know where he's out, and we pretty much know our spots.
Right.
I'm not one to push too many people away from where I hunt. I've never been like that. Keep too many spots, but some of your good ones, you kind of can't.
Oh yeah.
I brought him out to some good spots and
Yeah.
had him put him on some deer, so we know where each other are.
Yep.
So when he gets a hold of me and says he shot, I think one of the first questions: Did you get it on film?
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
And when he
Always
says
what
yes,
it
you're
is.
thinking, "Damn, kid, that's good." 'Cause I've
Yeah.
been doing it for a while. He's pulled off a couple right away, and
Yeah.
that's quite a feat to do.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
the
awesome.
video I watched 2 nights ago, after I was kind of messaging you and just trying to get refamiliarized with you guys, you didn't wear socks.
Yeah, that was a doe hunt this
Yeah.
year. Yeah, that was like the first
Shot
one
just
of the
under
season.
that doe.
Right as you I think we sent it to each other. Right as you published it. I don't know what is that. Beginning of archery season.
Yep.
We were watching it during that.
Yeah.
But it's
First
just
year
funny.
down.
Yeah. Just sharing it with each
Yeah, I
other.
forgot my socks that day.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, it was
do that?
September 20th or something like that. Like it's the first week of the season. So
You must have been fucking pumped to forget your socks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like, I might mention the video. I might not bring them anymore. I brought them with me again, but the rest of the year. But it was warm enough to where it didn't really matter,
Right,
and
yeah.
it was a pretty urban hunt where I was at, so
Yeah.
it wasn't a long walk. So I was fortunate there, but yeah, I forgot the socks and
Ended up
killed
working out.
Yeah, I missed a deer, then shoot the next one that comes out.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fortunate. So
It was,
was a
further
crazy-
away the second shot too.
yeah, the second
Yeah,
one,
that
second
was a
one
crazy video.
It was the second shot was between 40 and 42 yards. So the first deer that I missed was already about 30 yards, which I shoot my bow pretty much daily, 365 days a year.
Oh, really?
Wow. Oh yeah. You got to keep the reps. in.
Yeah, I mean, I just love shooting my bow. I enjoy archery.
I don't need to go to a range for it either. Like you
Yeah,
can shoot
like
in
right
the
now, I
backyard.
shoot
he
my
wasn't
basement.
even gun hunting when we first started.
Yeah.
I mean, we were having
Really?
that bear hunt. We could have probably maybe had a shot if we had a gun, but he wanted to shoot one with his bow and
Yeah.
over in Wilton.
Yep. But yeah, it's just archery is just something I enjoy doing. I'll shoot in my basement right now at 12 yards.
Yeah. And I'm in the middle of setting up something in my
Before
basement.
I bought a house and I just had an apartment, I'd shoot at 9 yards, right down my hallway. And tell the wife or the girlfriend at the time to stay in the bedroom, not to come out and sling it.
You got the center shot out of your freaking target.
Yeah,
you got holes in the sheetrock.
There was a couple. But yeah, so it's been fun. But yeah, I mean, even the bear hunt that I got on film, was almost by chance. Because I was supposed to go film Adam that night, and he was out on a bear track for somebody else. And I went and checked a camera that I had placed out the week before. While I was killing time, while he was out in the bear track, I'll just go check this camera, see if there's any bears hitting this cornfield. Check the cameras, a couple bears hitting it, hanging out in the truck, killing time, just waiting to see if Adam
Yep.
messages me. He was going to let me
Yep.
know when he was on his way back. And eventually it reached a time where I'm like, well,
Might as well just sit out there.
yeah, I might as well go set up a stand. And I had just bought a new mobile system. It was a lightweight hang-on stand with some lightweight sticks, and I wanted to be a little more mobile. It's one of the things.
Yep, that's the biggest thing.
One thing that I
with us
think
we
has
did this
helped
year.
me see more deer the last few years is being more mobile, not sitting at one tree stand for 4 straight
Yeah,
years like I
that-
did before.
The first time you sit in that one spot's probably the best
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I picked out
Yeah.
a spot where I could see the back edge of this cornfield and a little trail come out in the corner. I'm like, looks like something's been coming through right here. It wasn't right where my camera was, but something had matted down the grass, and I'm like, well, if I sit up right here along the back edge, I can see the back edge of this cornfield. I got to practice using these stands and sticks anyways before deer season gets here. I mean,
might as
that's
well.
what we use. I mean, I've been using bear season, New Hampshire, to practice filming just to get back into, I call it stand sitting shape. It's tough to sit still.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
You know?
you're right. Yeah, you're in there, you're fidgety, you're like thinking,
exactly. So those
I
first
could
2
go
weeks
walk
of bear
around,
season
scout that.
helps me get into stand
Get
shape.
your whole
I call it.
rhythm going, get your gear bag
Yeah.
ready and everything
Yeah.
you need to know.
Yeah.
Use it for get ready for deer.
Yep,
hunt.
so
Put everything
I-
back in your truck for the year.
Yep, that day by the time I made it out there and got set up, Adam messaged me saying, "Hey, I'm almost back to town. What are your plans?" I'm like, "Well, I just got set up." He's all right. Well, I'll go back over to where I'm at. You just hang out there. So things came together where an hour or so later, it was nice.
Yeah, I get all the way to Wilton, all the way out to the stand, because we stripped everything down.
Yeah.
Put all the stuff back up. I'm sitting there 20 minutes ready to film, and he goes and shoots a bear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I got to strip everything down, come out of the woods, and head over a couple of towns.
That
But
bear
I didn't
stepped
mind.
out at 25 yards right there at the corner of the field for me, right where I.
That's awesome.
Right where I thought he was going to.
No bait, nothing.
Nope. And
No,
he-
that I got to admit, there's a dairy farmer up our way. He's got a couple cornfields they plant for the cows.
Yep.
And bears get into them, destroy
Oh,
them.
yeah.
You know how that
Up
goes.
north,
So
yeah.
they've been trying to get us to shoot bears, so we started getting in. We were focusing on one, had a lot of activity, but there was another one. This is one of those ones where I said, I'm going to send this guy out. He's going to start to earn his keep around here because he's cutting in on all my hunting spots. But he seems to be pretty good. So there's that other field up there, and he went up there and took everything under. I had no part of that. I was never up in it. I knew where the field was, told him about it. But he went and put a camera up there, had bears, set everything up, and shot it. And I think that was probably the first time I kind of said, all right, this guy's
He's
gonna do all right.
putting what you
No
learn
joke.
over the years into
Yeah, because you can
into
take
play,
somebody
yeah.
in and then follow you around and
Oh,
do
yeah,
all the
and be
shit.
like, oh, yeah, this is great,
Anyone
yeah.
can shoot deer and shit in my spots.
Yeah.
Because he would come, he's like, every time I love hunting with you. Every time we go, we see shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just love seeing deer. I'll watch somebody else shoot 'em. I just like seeing
Hey,
deer.
speaking of seeing deer, I just want to take a piss. There's 2 does and a fawn right out back, right off this
Oh,
hill.
no shit.
Look at the bows. Neighbors one
Yeah.
here.
yeah.
Sneak out the door. You can check on them.
When'd you guys get into turkey season? Turkey hunting.
I started real young. Right after I started deer hunting, I was 13 or 14. Same thing. I was watching ESPN2 and the turkey hunts on that. I was like, Dad, this looks pretty cool. Why don't we give this a try? My dad was like, sure, why not? You know.
They talk back to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the
So
that's the
yeah,
best
we
part
went up
about
to
it.
Kittery Trading Post one day, probably March time frame. Went up there, started talking to a couple guys. Like I said, I was only 13 or 14, and we had a gentleman up there help us out, and he got me hooked up with a little one-sided box call. He was like, "This is enough to get you started."
Yeah.
My dad and I, we had heard of a place down in southern New Hampshire, Litchfield, Londonderry area. where
Yeah.
a buddy
There's a lot
his,
of turkeys
where
over
a
there.
buddy of his had
Wow.
told him that he had seen turkeys before. I mean, we didn't know anybody turkey hunted. We had never seen anybody turkey hunt before. So I'm like, well, so and so told us last year during deer season that he's seen turkeys around here. Let's go check that area out. So we went and scouted it once or twice and didn't see anything. We didn't know what we were looking for.
Yeah.
Didn't know what a turkey droppings look like. I mean, you know what a bird track looks like, but
Yeah.
hung out. We sat out at the top of this hill on this apple orchard, and it drops down into a cornfield on the lower side. So we brought camping chairs and sat at the top of the field just to overlook the field to see if anything walked out. I mean, skylined up on top of this.
Right.
There was not a chance in hell
What
we were
in
ever
the
going
hell
to
is
see
that?
it.
Start somewhere.
yeah.
It doesn't look like a stump.
Exactly. I mean, I look back on it now, like, wow, what a couple of idiots we must have looked like out there. But yeah, opening day that year, we went out there, and I figured if there was any pressure from other hunters, they'd be coming in from that field side. So we went a couple 100 yards down a hill into a power line down below, and we got set up down this power line, just pure guess. I'm like, yeah, I've been reading some books. You know, they like power lines, like open areas.
Yep. Yep.
And right at daybreak, I hit a couple of yelps on a box call. Oh, a turkey gobbles back.
Right. Yeah.
Never heard a turkey gobble
Wait a
before in my life.
second.
Wait, what's going on here?
Hold on.
And we ended up having 5 jakes work their way down into us to about 20 yards. And we had one of those little mesh, like stick in the ground blinds up in
I
front
still
of us.
use those for kids that they wrap around you. It's perfect.
Yeah,
run,
you
run
just
and
stick
go.
the sticks in
Nice
front
and
of
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So my dad was actually laying on his belly, and I was sitting up behind it. And they were right there at 20 yards or something. My dad's had the shotgun. We only had one gun at the time. I wasn't hunting. I was just calling. And then we're just sitting there and we're just waiting for the gun to go off, And I remember blinking, and all of a sudden, boom, birds flying everywhere. Just all 5 birds just up and flew, and boom, gone. I'm like, what the heck just happened? I'm like, why didn't you shoot one, Dad? My dad's like, well, I had this little twig that was stopping my barrel from being right on his head. I'm like, well, Dad, it's bird shot. Doesn't it spread out?
Yeah.
He's like, You know, kid, you got a point.
It could have.
So that was our very first turkey hunt right there. I mean, from that second on, I was
into it.
I was hooked.
Oh,
And-
when they yell at you.
Fired off.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
morning.
firing off in the morning, hitting a hoot tube
and
or
we
something.
had some ups and we didn't kill a bird for 4 more years. Eventually, a couple years later, I ended up getting a shotgun, so we had 2 shotguns, and my dad missed a couple, I missed a couple,
how
and
it
it was
goes.
4 years of ups and downs, but we were always having action. So I think that's really what really hooked me into hunting was turkey season. I was having some success. We weren't killing birds, but we were seeing birds, hearing birds. Deer season was still real slow for us.
Yeah. I swear to God that turkey hunting to get a youth into, you know,
Is the best.
Is the
Oh,
best way to
absolutely.
go.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can
I
talk to them.
agree.
They communicate.
yeah.
You can see
half
'em.
day like we talked about. It's only half day.
It's like bass fishing with them.
Yeah.
You're gonna have
Yeah.
action. You're gonna be into them. They're gonna
Yeah.
have fun. They're gonna
Throw a wacky rig into the
Yeah.
in the weeds.
Yeah.
You're gonna catch a fish.
Yeah, it'll work. Absolutely. Yeah, eventually it worked out to one day. It was a rainy day. Didn't hear a bird gobble at all, but we had hunted the same farm for the last 4 years. I kind of knew the birds' patterns in that area.
Right.
I'm like, Dad, they come out into this field from this corner. The other hunters sit along the field. If we go down in there 50 yards, they're going to come walking up the hill at us.
We'll shoot them
just
first.
outsmarting them first.
That's exactly what happened. All of a sudden, like I'm sitting there, and me and my dad were 10 yards apart, and all of a sudden I hear walking like right off my left side. And I look through the corner of my eye, and there's a hen right there 5 yards from my dad, and my dad's passed out, head down,
Don't wake
gun
up.
in his
Don't
lap,
wake up.
everything.
Don't wake
It's
up.
early.
And all of a sudden I catch moving out in front of me, and there's 2 red heads out in front of me,
Yeah.
and there was a down log kind of diagonal, and I could just barely see the tops of the heads on the other side of this down log. So I had my gun up on my knee, so I was able to get it up and start getting ready. And all of a sudden, boom, the gun goes off. And my dad had,
He
my dad
woke
had
up
shot one of the
and
birds.
shot.
He woke up and shot one of the birds.
You
But I-
sandbagging son of a bitch.
I didn't care one bit. I was just like, this is our first bird. I was
Absolutely.
pumped.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, and I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, those are the best times.
And I ended up, I think the year after, 2 years later, when I turned 8, I was 20 when I shot my first bird. So I
Nice.
think I went 6 or 7 years. And that was a morning. I got back from UNH the night before. My cousin, who's my best friend, he's like my brother. He's the best man at my wedding. I was the best
Yeah.
man at his wedding. His 21st birthday is May 3rd. Now, so it used to be
Okay,
opening day for
opening
New
day,
Hampshire. So he was going to school at UNH. I went up for his birthday for
Guess
UNH.
what? I'm staying up all night.
yeah.
Pretty much. So I was up at UNH enjoying ourselves for his
Yeah.
21st birthday, and
Oh,
I
yeah,
went
of
back
course.
home early in the morning, and I was hurting pretty good. And
Yeah.
my parents cooked me up a big breakfast, and it was like 9 o'clock in the morning probably at that
I'm going
point.
out.
And I'm like, I'm going to go
Gotta get
hunting.
out.
They're like, you're going hunting? I'm like, yeah, before I left UNH, Brian told me to go shoot him a bird for his birthday, so I might as well go try.
Yeah, yeah.
And same farm where my dad shot his bird. I made a mile hike around the back edge of this field, and I've been hunting this farm 5-6 years. I know this piece of woods they like to go to late morning. When they leave the fields, they'll go out back into here. And I went back on the back side of that field and 100 yards off the field. I'm like, usually they're back in that corner, so I'll just sit here against this rock wall, and made one call and didn't hear anything. Wait 10 minutes, made another call, and boom, 2 birds hammered back right away. And wait 2 minutes. And
I can't
good
wait.
stuff.
I can't wait.
Make
Listen to
another
Lance
call.
over here.
Make another call, and boom, they hammer back again. And you can tell when they're getting closer as they're going.
Oh yeah, just the ground just starts
Yeah.
shaking even more.
And that winter, I had bought a
Oh,
new
yeah.
shotgun that winter. So I just outfitted this gun with a red dot and everything on it. I'd missed a few birds before. And yeah, it was a Jake. Came out, stopped at like 30, 35 yards, and hopped up on a stump. And I rolled him over.
Oh,
right
yeah,
there with
see
that
you
gun.
later.
Yeah. So that was my first bird. But I've been addicted to turkey hunting ever since. I love the
it's
action of it.
I feel like it's the closest thing we got to like almost like elk hunting. You know what I mean?
That's my
Like
dream
in
hunt
the
right
way.
there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
because out west everyone's elk hunting. They're listening to bugles.
What
We're over
really
here
scares
listening
you
to
though
gobbles.
is like
Yeah.
when they shut up. All right, they get off the roost. And
Oh.
goblin, they hen up. All right, there's no more calling.
Yeah.
You're sitting, calling. All of a sudden you hear.
Yeah.
You're like, oh god.
They came in quiet. They came in quiet. No one moved. No one moved. Yeah.
Don't breathe. Don't blink.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't even think
That's
about
how it
blinking.
is. You're sitting
Yeah.
with someone also and something happens. Don't
Yeah.
move.
So I got addicted to turkey hunting real young, and like I said, I've gotten involved in NWTF
That's awesome.
the last few
Yeah.
years, and
That's
giving
awesome.
back, doing mentored hunts that way.
What do
and-
they got local? Do you have anything around here?
Oh yeah, there's chapters all over the state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
What Bedford last year, or
Bedford. Yeah.
is it? Do you know? I don't know.
I want to say.
So I mean, for New Hampshire, we have a Seacoast chapter.
Yeah.
We have a Capital Regions chapter, which I'm involved with. I was the president of that one. up until I had my baby this past year, and I stepped down for the presidency. I couldn't give it the attention to detail that it needed, but I'm still very involved with it. There's a southern New Hampshire, Milford area chapter.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was, Milford. Yeah.
There's one up in north of the Lakes region. What the heck are they called? They have a banquet coming up, too.
Over near the Meredith and over...
Pemmy Baker is what they call it. Pemmy Baker River.
Yeah. Yes.
I think they're kind of like in the Plymouth State area is where they're based out of. There's another chapter in the southwest part near Keene and stuff. There's a couple chapters right over here in Maine and stuff. But yeah, we do banquets, fundraising banquets for the NWTF throughout the early spring and stuff. And they're a ton of fun. We give away dozens of guns.
Crazy.
Yeah, guns. We're giving away. But it's fun. We do a mentor program now. We partner with New Hampshire Fish and Game, to where somebody hasn't harvested a turkey before. They have very little turkey hunting experience.
And you can take them out, show them the ropes. And
what we do is we do a full day classroom session with them, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. almost. And we cover everything turkey, from the biology to the history to the gear to the tactics to the butchering of the turkeys.
Really?
How you get meat
That's
out
what
of
I'm
it.
interested in,
Yeah.
I'm coming.
So we host this, and then we have other mentors that are involved with the chapter where we let people sign up and we do a mentored hunt with them, to where these people actually have to find their own spots, do their own scouting,
do their own research.
And I'm usually texting with these people throughout the spring, just say, what are you seeing birds? You go out scouting, and then usually I go out scouting with them once. All right, this is certain areas, where I would kind of look on this property, these ridge lines or these tall pines they'd like to roost in, stuff like that. And then we'll go out with a hunt. We'll set up a day during the season. We'll go out with them, saying, all right,
you think you're ready, right?
Yeah. You might want to call a little bit more now, or call a little bit less.
Right.
Or we've been here an hour or so, we haven't heard anything. We can get up and move a little bit and stuff like that. You
That's
just kind of go along with them. So it's been a fun
journey,
fun program.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you are, what chapter are you?
Capital Region Shredders.
All right, and that is what? Give me like a line for
Concord.
Concord.
We're based
is
out
the
of
line.
Concord.
Okay.
And then
because I think
Concord,
been to one of the
southeast or southwest,
south towards the Manchester line area, because you got the southern chapter that you try not to recruit too many people out of the same areas. But,
right.
I mean, if there's a banquet date in the state of New Hampshire, or a banquet further away from you fits your schedule better than the one next to your house, you could go to multiple banquets if you wanted to. It's $35 or $45 to get into a banquet. That gives you a NWTF membership, which is $35 on its own. Gives you a meal to get into the event. Some of them do it where if you buy your tickets early enough, you're put into a gun raffle just for getting an early ticket, because they need a head count for these events as much as they can.
Correct, because you need a certain amount.
Yeah,
of people.
What we run into is people buying tickets last minute, and now we're scrambling around to get meals and stuff. So we try to incentivize people buying their tickets early by doing a gun raffle. All you do is buy your ticket early, and you get a chance at a gun.
Right.
It's one in however many people buy their tickets early. Could be 10, could be 100, but it's a free gun raffle right there.
Nice.
And then we give away another dozen guns at the banquets through other raffles.
Yeah.
You can pay $40 and we'll give you a folding knife and a raffle ticket, and you have a 1 in 40 chance at an AR or something like that.
Pretty sweet.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's just really, we play games and good meal and just sit down and you talk hunting with a bunch of people.
Talk with everyone. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Turkey hunters. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I did some work in Bedford, New Hampshire, and Amherst. Some well retentions. They had Senko Bain, a company down there, or whatever.
Sure.
There somehow people's wells got contaminated, so I went down there and was doing water services for the people down there, and driving down there, birds in like residential areas. Big birds, giant.
Yeah, I've been living there for 5 years.
I'm like, they're hitting every bird feeder
Everywhere.
in here, and I'm going through, and it's you can't hunt there. I mean, some people, I'm sure they probably can have enough property or can right on
whack them with a bow.
When I started getting involved at NWTF, I started talking to some of my friends I've made over there. When I moved from Nashua to Ware, it's a completely different lifestyle. I used to tell them I'd carry a rangefinder with me when I'm turkey hunting to measure houses.
because you would have to. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
To range houses, not to range birds and not to range trees and stumps.
No, that makes
carry a
perfect
rangefinder
sense.
with me to range
That
houses.
makes perfect sense. Yeah.
I mean, I've sat myself in places where I'm 120 yards from this house on my left, and I'm 105 yards from this house on my right.
Right.
You know, there's some tight windows in there, but there's also some bigger pieces of woods in that area too that you wouldn't imagine. Also,
Yeah.
you can,
Right, I can see that.
You know, if you get access through somebody's yard, you know, knock on a door.
Well, that's
and
what I was thinking. I
There's
was like,
bigger
all right.
pieces of woods. You just say, hey, can I just walk through your yard to get into this piece of woods?
Yeah.
There's ways of doing that too.
There's birds. It was wintertime, so they were all together anyways.
Yeah.
But they were still hitting bird feeder, and I'm like, oh, these things are eating good. Is there a way into this place? Is there a parking spot? How can I get in the back of
Oh,
here?
yeah.
And I don't know. I obviously grew up around here, and we have woods. The most.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
Yeah, we don't
most
have a
of the-
shortage of woods. It's just
turkeys. We hunt Stratford quite a bit, and
Oh, thanks.
it's kind of like your scenario. Is I've hunted, and you've hunted that spot for since I
Years,
was
yeah.
10 years old.
Yeah.
You kind of have an idea what the birds are going to do, where they're
Yeah.
going to be roosting,
Correct.
whatever. But around here, it's a little bit tougher
I feel
to
like
pattern birds because they're just doing whatever the hell they want
They
to
just
do.
wander.
They can be
Yeah.
roosted over here. I've had, just last couple weeks or a couple nights ago, I had a bunch of birds roosting right out back. But I mean, come May, they'll be roosting here. Next
Yep.
thing you know, they'll be roosting over there. So it's hard to figure them out. It's either hit or miss. All right, I've seen birds over here. I'm gonna drive there in the morning, hit the hoot tube, see if they hammer.
Yeah.
If they don't, we've had them hit the hoot tube. They don't talk at all, and then just be like, all right, well, we got no other plans, so let's just sit
Right.
here. And then all of a sudden they start talking.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they're more domesticated now. Like everyone's
Are they
feeding.
hitting?
Everyone's got bird feeders out for.
yeah,
For
how do you
obviously-
guys feel about I don't know.
I feel like I can't
Where you
hike 2
guys
miles
hunt?
in the woods.
Where you guys hunt? Is it rural? Like I know you're talking about rural hunting rural areas.
Yeah.
In your pattern, are you patterning birds or how's that going?
I mean,
I'd
when
say
I was
yeah.
hunting,
Mostly
well,
fields.
Yeah.
Mostly
Yeah,
fields.
well,
Easy
we got
to
now-
roost birds
yeah.
yeah.
up our way.
yeah. I mean, when I was hunting Nashua and stuff, it was almost, if they're not in one area, now you jump in the truck and all right,
You
check,
kinda
check,
know where they
check
are.
this. You can check. I mean, you can find different flocks
Right.
not far from each other.
Right.
But you
All right.
know which ones are what. They're all
Yeah.
going to do the same.
Yeah, I kind of know
Yeah.
generally where they're going to be. But since I moved out to Ware, I don't go down to that area
Yeah.
much anymore.
Right.
Just a lot more hunting pressure there, a lot more people.
Yeah.
Trying to deal with the headaches of the space between houses. You know,
Right.
I've,
Yeah. You don't want
I-
to think about it.
Yeah, I've enjoyed
Just wanna
getting
pull my
out to
trigger.
where I don't really see many other people.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
this
what-
past deer season, I saw one person. I
See,
think.
that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. So I've enjoyed that a lot more.
There's a
But
ton of birds down our way.
yeah, we have
Yeah.
a lot of
There's
birds
a
where we're
lot.
at.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
birds. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I've never been
never
down
hunted
that.
down
I've never been down there.
Yeah.
And where I was working was Back River Road in Bedford. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know where that is.
Absolutely.
And it was just birds
After
everywhere.
bird.
And I'm like, what in the hell is going on in this place? This place loaded with birds.
They're a nuisance animal down there now.
Yeah.
You know, people
Yeah.
Shitting
fed,
all over
fed
the
up
yard.
with them.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
they're like geese.
Yeah.
Shitting over everyone's yard.
Some people are getting sick of them.
Yeah, eating the roots, the roots of their grass. You
Oh
know, they'll-
yeah,
they'll-
people
they'll-
trying to plant new
yeah,
grass.
trying to plant
yeah.
nice grass, and they'll dig up
Come
your
up
grass
here.
to eat the roots,
Yeah.
eat the
yeah,
grubs.
That might
and
be a
stuff,
good
you know?
right
thing.
about
Hey,
that,
I'll
yeah.
come take care of them.
We
Yeah.
usually have 4 or 5 places anyway. We know where they're roosting.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a problem to go roost up at night, watch them fly up, and say, "Yep, he'll be on that limb in the morning."
Right. Yeah.
And come down, and usually the morning hunts, you don't need no decoys.
Yeah.
You know where they're going to fly
Yeah.
down. I filmed a hunt with Hayride, the first one I did. I would know that bird so well. I'd set a camera up 20 yards or more away from me and hit record on a spot. And I
just
went and
wait.
hid
And
in
you
the
knew he was
bushes with
coming.
another
Yeah.
camera. He flew down. He wasn't on the ground 30 seconds, and I had him in the dirt
No shit.
and had him on camera. That's how well we knew him over there.
How did you get into turkey hunting?
I never started spring hunting until 2016.
Really?
The first birds I shot, I'd get my turkey tags. So when I was out archery hunting for deer,
Yeah, of course,
see
yeah, you got
So
one
the first bird,
come
I'd never
by.
shot a tom to then. I'd shot hens. You know, see a bird coming along, say hell with it. You know, I want to shoot something tonight and fill a turkey tag.
Yeah.
And then Doug Whitcomb, who's a big turkey hunter up our way, his daughter and my son are in the same class. And we were in like an all-day school thing. He got talking, hey, you ever film any turkey hunts? And I said, never done any of it. What?
Yeah.
You got to come hunt
Yeah,
with us.
right,
So
right.
I towed it along as just cameraman. So that's all we did. And we started out by taking out kids. We had like 4 kids, I think, lined up that
That's
weekend.
the best.
So we started with them and did some shooting with them and whatnot. And we had a farm that was letting us hunt over there. So we put all these kids on them and got them all their birds. And then we had a couple other adults that come in, brought my brother on board. Me and Doug could have had a double one day, but I was having so fun filming everything. I didn't mind.
There's a lot going on.
We had that bird hayride over on the farm that I wanted. He kept giving us the slip.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like getting personal with him. And he's like, "What?" I said, "Nope." And I had all the time to hunt. So that's the one that I shot that flew down.
Yeah.
And got on camera. And that was the first one I'd shot.
That is
but
awesome.
I think we got 7 people their birds before I finally pulled the trigger on one. And I was about as hooked as you can get. I tell you, I'm like, why didn't someone fill me in on the spring turkey?
Yeah, right.
I've been missing
Yeah.
out. So since then is when we started doing it. We decided every year we take kids out hunting, and we start the year with that. Last couple of years, we have kids over to my house, do a shoot, make sure everyone knows what they're shooting, what to aim at, and everything else.
Patterning your gun.
We got some sponsors that are helping us out. Usually we get them some hats. We got some New Hampshire Back40 hats made up for them.
Nice, that's awesome.
We've given them calls one year, whatever we can do to get them going.
Yeah, get them into it.
And this year was great because now you can shoot 2 birds.
Yeah.
Right.
So between my boy and Connor, who had him, we got in total of everyone we took out in New Hampshire Back40 last year and us involved, we had 19 birds on the ground.
That's awesome.
Holy moly!
Yeah, that's a good amount.
Jesus.
That's counting mass as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not all on film either, but
No.
Oh yeah,
No.
it's,
Yeah.
but we've talked about it.
doesn't
It's hard.
matter.
It's just
Yeah.
like
yeah.
sometimes
Some of them,
sometimes you're like,
goes
"God,
out
put
with
the
his old lady.
camera
They're
down."
not filming at all.
Right.
But no, it's a lot of fun. I can't wait for it to get going again. So
What do you guys find the hardest thing? Like say my downfall with turkey hunting is probably a henned up bird. Like I question myself too much, and I'm like, should I keep calling, trying to get that hen to talk to me and maybe try to pull her in, or should I make the slip and try to move on that bird? What do you guys find is your downfall when it comes to turkey hunting? What do you find is the hardest part? Like, what do you guys run into?
I mean, that's probably the hardest part right
Yeah.
there. I mean, you find a bird that's by himself, and you
can make a good move on him.
I feel very confident I'm going to kill that bird.
Yeah.
You know, if I know a bird's by himself, I'm
Pretty confident.
I'm
makes sense.
I'm feeling good about my chances.
Yeah.
Once you throw in the hen aspect, it's it's a crapshoot.
Right.
More often than not, you're not going to get that bird to leave that hen.
Yeah.
I have been able to call in the hens. Get
Yeah, we have too.
Get real
Yeah.
aggressive with the hens
Yeah.
and stuff.
That's what
Stay
we
on
try.
it.
You
Yeah.
just, but then that's almost like, am I overcalling? Am I just calling too much? Where now the bird's just gonna shut up and not.
I used to think that too, but I've seen some videos there where a hen that just kept yelping and yelping and yelping, and she's
Where
going
it's like
quack,
this.
quack, quack.
Yeah. There's
If-
not
if-
such thing as
If I'm
overcalling.
trying to
Yeah,
call
I
the
don't
hen
think you
in,
can. Yeah.
I get aggressive on her. I'll
Just fire on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just
Mimic
keep 'em going,
everything
just
she's
trying to
doing.
annoy the hell out of her.
Yeah.
That's really my goal. I mean, if I'm trying to get her in, that's what I'm doing. If I go quiet, she has no reason to come hang out.
That's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
I
You're
know
right.
that.
Yeah.
Really, you're only get the boss hen of the general area to do that. So it has to be the right hen.
Right. It has to be the more dominant hen. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So it has to be the right hen. If it's one of the more subordinate hens that Tom's sticking on,
It ain't
and
gonna happen.
she's like, oh, I'm gonna go there and get my butt whooped by
Yeah,
this chick
right.
anyways. Good old cat fight. But so you get real aggressive on that dominant hen, and she'll come over. And I've had hens attack my hen decoys, just like a
Yeah,
Tom
we have
attacks
too.
a Jake
Yeah.
decoy.
Yeah.
So
Just pluck
that's
the
what
shit
you're
out of the
hoping
head.
for. It's got to be the right hen. Other than that, you almost got to let that bird go until 9:30 in the morning when he might breed her and
Yeah, that's
start,
true.
start
Go
looking for love
somewhere
somewhere else.
We've been in that scenario last year.
Yeah, we fell
were
into that maybe a
stuck.
couple
I
times.
don't know.
Yeah.
80, 100 yards out, and it's like,
Fuck it.
What
Let's
do you
make
do?
the let's
what do
make
you
the
do?
move.
Yeah.
Let's
So
go
we-
upridge
So
on
that's
them.
what we did. We called for 45 minutes, and it was.
You kept hammering on.
Yeah.
him.
And I was like, he's not going. He's doing circle. It sounds
Yeah.
like he's far away, but I
He's
think
just
it was
turning.
him
He's
strutting.
start-
Well, they're
Yeah.
expecting the hen to go to
Yeah.
him anyway.
Yeah,
so
so I
it's-
think he's firing this way, and then he's firing our way.
you ever
and
gobble back to him?
See, we don't play
No.
much with the gobble calls.
No?
No.
I
just
never have.
We got the shake gobble call, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's like,
I use that a lot as a locator during the preseason.
yeah, I can see where
And
that comes in
then-
handy.
Because they'll gobble right back at it.
Yep.
Guarantee. Because there isn't a lot of people running a gobble
You
call
guys
out
ever
there.
use
Yeah.
goose call
Nope.
No.
for locating?
And then I try not to use the
Usually
gobble call
owl
during the
hooter
season.
or
Yeah.
crow call.
Yeah.
Goose call
owl.
actually works pretty good for locating during the
Yeah.
day, like
Yeah.
say mid morning, something. Just whip out.
They
a goose call
fired
if
up
you
there
can
in
hit it.
Ware when we were out there with Alex that year in the swamp, that
Yep.
pond out back. The geese were going
Yeah.
every time
Yeah.
they made it.
Yeah.
they'd
Oh
gobble
yeah,
right
Yeah.
This little swamp pond's down this little hole.
You didn't have to
between
do
a couple
nothing.
ridges.
Oh, yeah, making all the noise for you.
Yeah.
We're just sitting
Yeah.
there going, "This is awesome." Need that sun to come up now.
Yeah.
And everything echoes down in there too, because
Yeah.
it's just this
Right.
little bowl, and everything just echoes down there, and it's loud. I mean, there's a beaver in that pond. He slaps his tail in the dark, and it echoes through this thing.
Oh,
You're like,
wow, yeah.
The geese come flying in right before sun comes up, and they're echoing in down in there. You're like, somebody shut these freaking geese up.
Yeah, we called that one in for Alex, though. We stayed on that. We were about to leave, and I spotted that one over. I said, "There's the tom right over there." So we got set back up and just kept hitting that hen. He's like, "I don't think he's coming," but I was situated on the left of everybody, so I could see. I was like, "He's getting closer."
Yeah.
Stay on it, stay on it. We just had a single hen. He come all the way around that swamp and that pond. He come a long way to get to where he needed to be.
Really?
And finally, he starts coming up that Class 6 road, and I saw the red head, and I'm like, it's on now.
Yeah,
And Al's
that's all I
sitting
need
over
to
there.
see.
There's a big bull pine sitting right in the corner. We came around. We were on the power line. As soon as he came around that corner and he fired off, we got some good video of
Yeah,
that
that
day,
was a good
too.
one.
Oh.
I knew. I wanted Alex to wait. He was
Yeah.
coming right into us. I'm thinking we're getting great footage, but he shot. But it all worked out. But to think how far, when we started, we were on the far end of that pond.
Right.
And they seemed like they were working away up the ridge, like towards your house and your neighbors.
Yep. Yeah, they were on posted property, actually. They were up on
Yeah.
top of a ridge of posted property. And yeah, they were heading back into the woods away from us. We had to loop around, and the way the posted property works over there, it's kind of like like the corner of it.
Okay.
You can work along one edge, and we had to go
Right.
around the swamp to get
Yeah.
Get to the other
to
side.
get to the other edge. So there's a group of birds. It's the apartment that I was living in. They roost 200 yards behind the house.
Bird feeder.
I love
too.
Yeah, I love
Come
those
into
because
the-
you know what they do.
fly
Yeah,
down, they go
you
to
don't
a
even need
feeder
to
for
go
breakfast.
I can
scouting
cut
and
them
all
off,
that.
The
right?
problem is the next door neighbor to me, where I lived, posts their property, and they would pitch out of the roost, and sometimes they'd land in the posted property.
Yeah.
Sometimes they land at the bottom of the ridge, and you can catch them there. Sometimes they just glide over the top
Yeah.
of you. So it's
They
always
come walking along the stone wall, and you see the hedge on the other side. Like,
yeah. So we'd work those birds first, just because it's one of those areas where like they're roosted there 300 days out of the year.
Yeah.
And then you can hear some birds working the ridges on the other side of the swamp every once in a while. And when we worked these birds, they went up onto the posted land. We're like, well, those birds are up in there, going to hang on that bird feeder for the next 3 hours. I know what they do. I'm like, well, let's loop around this thing. We heard a couple birds on the roost real early on that other side. So we kind of looped around and got up on top of the other ridge and get down to the power lines and just make a call. And then boom, they gobble on the posted side, different posted property, up on top of the opposite ridge over there. And you're just standing like they're a ways off. And you call again. You're like, they might be coming down the hill a little
Might
bit.
be able to
And
pull them over. Yeah.
call again. They sound a little bit closer, and they're working that little edge line of that posted sign. And we're like, well, let's sit down for a little bit. And we call for a while, and they gobble hard, and they work their way down. And eventually, they got to about 100 yards, 150 yards, and they were hammering right there down at the bottom of the ridge. They just wouldn't come up into the power lines with us. They were staying right in that posted
Actually, I
property.
think the one that came over, some of them shut up.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
just
Don't know what
stop
they're
talking.
doing.
Yeah.
Hey,
The
Yeah.
one that was still gobbling was a little further away, but I think I caught that one. I said,
Yeah.
"There's one coming," and they're
Yeah.
like, "No,
Yeah,
he's
because
still over
eventually
there." I'm like,
we
"I
ended up
can see
standing
him."
up
Yeah.
and we were about to leave. Adam had to go to work. He only had a couple hours
I
off
hate
in
when
the
they
morning.
shut up.
And so yeah, we had stood up, we had picked up the decoy, and we were just kind of talking. We're like, man, it's hard to leave gobbling
Yeah,
birds. You
yeah.
know they're right there, but and like I said, Adam was saying, he goes, all of a sudden he caught movement. You could look across the swamp into the other tree line on the other side. And he goes, oh, there's a bird right there. It looks like he's coming this way.
Oh, he was looking. He got
Yeah.
that look.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
So we scrambled and set back up, and that was some cool footage. That one I think is on our Facebook page, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
my
that's
buddy
a
Alex
bird.
Brown's hunt. That bird walks right square into. I mean, he's staring in the camera the entire way, and he
Yeah.
hammers a gobble at 40 yards,
Oh,
and shakes the
yeah,
ground. and-
Wait, dude.
yeah,
Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah, Alex.
yeah. He ended up rolling that one over. Like as he's walking towards us, he just rolls him over 25,
awesome.
30
The morning
yards.
hunts are the easiest ones to film.
Oh yeah. I've
'Cause
known a
you,
lot
you
of.
know everything. Get a spot to set up. You know the roost, and you kind of got a game plan. But once the morning hunting falls to the wayside, and you're just kind of running and gunning or whatever.
We're
they
trying to
say.
locate birds.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what. Yeah, that's what I
Yep.
think. Find is the easiest with the morning is like that at least you can get that one gobble on in the trees before
Yep.
they pitch down and then they shut up. You know they're there still. So
Yeah,
it's-
they're there somewhere.
Yeah, just playing around with them.
Right.
Then instead of going in there blind in the afternoon, maybe running up on
Yeah,
one
well, if you're
something.
going past 9,
Or
it's
evening,
like,
yeah,
to get
or
a
the
gobble,
late
you're
morning.
like, all right, here we go. Am I just hiking here?
Yeah.
Or am I turkey hunting?
Yeah, I
can't
mean,
tell.
late in the morning after 9 o'clock, they said I do that. I put boots to the ground, and
You troll.
every 100 yards, I'll
Hit
throw out a call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
You know?
what we find the best.
And usually,
yeah.
once you find a bird at that time of the morning, you better
It's
set up
alone.
and get ready quick because they're coming and they're coming
He's already
fast.
bred.
Yeah,
He's
there's
already
like-
done what he
Yeah,
has to
he's
do.
looking for a hen now,
Right.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
he's coming quick. So yeah, those are some fun
Yeah,
ones.
trolling's definitely fun.
Yeah.
That's what you call it, trolling?
Trolling. Just,
Yeah, because
my
you're walking
dad.
through the
Yeah,
woods.
that's what you're doing.
Hunting with my dad,
Yep.
that's what we did. Is we
Yep.
always, whenever we couldn't get a bird in the morning or something like that, just start walking through the piece that you know where the birds are at, just trolling around, hitting the call.
For
And
sure.
Usually pick one up.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's a different change from deer hunting. You know,
Oh,
Sitting
yeah.
Sit in a tree for
Oh,
3 straight
hands on.
months.
Oh, and
fun.
it's like,
You know,
listen,
I'm ready.
oh,
I'm
wait,
ready to
shit,
move.
what's that? No, squirrel. And
Yeah,
Getting all
come
amped.
turkey season, I'm not ready to sit very long.
yeah, no.
I've killed a couple birds on patience. Like I said, those hen-up birds were, all right, 7 o'clock. All right, I'm looking at the clock. All right, 2.5 hours,
Yeah.
they'll be ready to go again. You know, let's lay down and take a nap. Like I've killed birds that way. I've killed some big birds that way. But it's not my preferred way.
Yeah,
You know,
sometimes
I sit
I-
around all during deer season. I want to
don't
get
think
the
I
move.
can do
Yeah.
that. Not for turkeys.
No, yeah,
If they're not
sometimes.
gobbling, I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
We're going to go. Yeah.
We're wasting time.
Yep.
yeah. But other than that, yeah. You guys both shot deer this year.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
both
Can jump
shot
into that if
2,
you guys
right?
want.
Yeah, I shot 2.
Yeah, I shot 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get that buck on film?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Okay. No.
No, I wasn't carrying a camera with me at all that day. That was actually my first racked buck. So I've only killed
Oh,
2.
sweet.
I've only killed 2 bucks in my life now. Killed one with my bow when
That
I
was a hell of a deer. Still, that was a
23.
beautiful buck.
A good buck.
yeah,
Yeah, it was.
That was fun. Yep, my first buck was with a bow. 23, I think I was when I shot that one. So 6 or 7 years ago now, and that one put me in tears. I had deer hunted for 10, 12 years at that point.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, and I think I'd seen 2 bucks in my life while hunting. So
Yeah.
when I shot that one, I shot it, checked the arrow, and I knew that deer was in some serious trouble. And my cell phone died. Didn't have a flashlight with me, so I had to leave the woods and go back home.
Oh,
and
now you're dreaming all night. Like,
No, I just went home to charge batteries. But when I got,
okay. I was gonna
I
say.
got one text out to my girlfriend, who's my wife at the time now. But I got one text out just saying I just shot a buck. So I got to the house, like her and her dad are like at the door.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, they're like, where is it? And I've got tears coming down my face.
I'm so
She's like,
pumped.
why are you crying? I'm like,
know.
I don't know.
You don't understand.
So yeah, charged some cell phone batteries and grabbed some flashlight, and that deer made it like 45 yards and crashed. So that was pretty cool. But
That's
yeah, this year
awesome.
was my first racked buck, and I went into this year with a goal of shooting a racked deer. I was passing on
Passing
all
on
spikes.
deer?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I've only got 1 buck to my name, but you know, I'm passing on spikes. I want a racked deer. And I put a lot of time, a lot of work, and
Doesn't
Sure
come
did.
easy.
I've spent a
I know
lot of
peop-
money at the same time just on gear, and you know, it's not all
Gas.
about gear.
Yeah, gas is a-
gas.
I know people with horseshoes stuck up their ass where they
Yeah,
just
I
walk
don't-
10 feet and it's like, all right, here, you
don't
just
do
shot a
that.
150 inch deer.
Yeah.
And it weighs almost 200 pounds. So
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
mean-
what?
My brother did that
yeah.
this year. Shot a corker of a buck. Was in the woods for all of 10 minutes.
I got fortunate on that buck. For all the time and work that I've put in, that one came relatively easy. I was on my rutcation. You know, I took a vacation from work,
Rutcation.
so I take the last part of muzzle loader and the first part of rifle.
Yeah,
because
makes
rifle
sense.
starts on a Wednesday,
Right.
so I hunt those last couple of days of muzzle loader. I take that whole
Might as
week
well.
for a vacation. And I hunted. I mean, for having a newborn kid this year, I hunted a lot. Hunted pretty hard.
I was almost able to hunt every weekend because my
Yeah.
daughter's like, a little over a year now.
Yep.
But even the first year when she was born in November, I
Yeah.
archery hunted and that was it.
Yeah, I
I
hunted
try to
hard.
take the whole hunting season off myself. I usually do get most of it, too.
Yeah. I had hunted hard this year, and I had hunted hard the last. So I get every Friday off. So I had hunted Friday,
That's
Saturday,
awesome.
Sunday, Monday, pretty hard.
You work
And-
long days then.
Yeah, I work 4 9s
4 9s? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that ain't too bad.
or
then.
4 10s.
4
Sorry,
times. Okay,
4
yeah, I was going
10s,
to say.
So yeah, so I hunted those 4 days dark to dark all day long, pretty much with the muzzleloader. So that next day, that Tuesday is the last day muzzleloader before rifle opens up, and it was cold and rainy over where we were. It was like 33 degrees, but drizzly, foggy, wet, and just not
Ah,
good,
just
not
kinda
good
got it.
muzzleloader weather.
Yeah.
So I actually slept in that day, helped my wife get up and get the baby ready, and
Yeah.
um,
Make her happy.
let my wife go off to work and drop her off at daycare. And about 7:30, 8 o'clock, I was headed to the woods. So I got a late start and got out there, and I was gonna do a scouting trip. It's quiet because it's so wet, and walking my way around. And I was chasing a good sized buck this year, a pretty big 8. I'd say he's.
Did you have that? I'm guessing you had the deer on trail camera. You guys put out trail cameras?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I figured.
I've got over a dozen trail cameras.
Yeah.
That I'm running, but I had a number of pictures of them the last 3 weeks, and I was getting close on them. I had been within 300 yards twice on them, to where I know where I was sitting and where I check cameras. I was within 300 yards of them twice during archery season before that. So I had an area where I thought he was pretty sure he was bedding.
Are you running your cameras in a pattern, like at a square or a circle, or?
I was running them mostly on scrapes this year.
So, but in this general area that you're hunting, are you running? You're just locating his scrapes or what you think are his scrapes, and
you almost like try to set them up as in I want to see where he's coming in and maybe where he's exiting this one little area.
Yeah, what happened was I caught him in one piece of woods, and I was getting him on a couple of cameras every now and then, but it wasn't real consistent. So talking with Neil Pendleton, who I've become real good friends with, and he knows
looking at pictures right now.
He knows how to find big deer. He's like he's got to be crossing a road somewhere. So I'm sending him pictures
or
of
tote
maps
road
and
or
stuff.
something.
Well, just
or
like
just
it's not a general big piece of woods. I mean, if I do a circle around the entire piece of woods, it's about 3 miles.
Okay.
So it's not really all that big.
Yeah.
To circle the whole thing. He's crossing a road somewhere. He's in another piece and coming into yours every once in a while.
Why did he think that?
Just because my picture, I wasn't finding like scrapes. The piece of woods I was in, I wasn't finding scrapes.
That's what we're.
So
we got a huge area.
This is
though.
huge.
Yeah,
what
so
is
We got a
this?
huge area though.
I had found, so I made a mock scrape, and this buck had hit that scrape 2 days after I had made it, and he never hit it again. But I was scouting this piece of woods hard, and I couldn't find any like real natural scrapes anywhere. I was finding rubs. I was getting them on cameras in this piece of woods. I had 4 cameras in that piece of woods. I'd get them on one in a different part every once in a while, and I'm trying to figure out, right, he's on this camera on this. What wind direction was he here? Why was he here?
Right. Okay.
That's one of the big things Neil's like taught me. He's like, there's a
Why
reason.
is he?
Why is he there when he's there?
He picks his brain every chance he can.
Oh yeah, I can see it because I'm picking yours right now. I'm just thinking right now of all the times we ran into right now.
We have a couple with great bucks.
Yeah, and it's just like
it's
they
the same
seem like
scenario you're talking right now.
they're there, then all of a sudden they're gone, but there's no
You
scrapes.
can take in the
there's
weather or something, the wind and the weather and the temps and the barometer, that type of thing, know what's going on. You might find a pattern that kind of jumps out after that.
Yeah.
And that time of year, late October, early November, they're hitting scrapes hard. Is kind of what I've learned.
Right.
He's like, you have to find his scrape. There's gonna be 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of his primary scrapes he's gonna hit all the time. And he goes, you have to find it.
And he doesn't think those are nighttime activity.
I mean, they might be, but it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close to bedding.
So you were just finding scrapes and putting
close to
cameras
bed.
on
And the ones that they hit in the morning,
so
right before the sun comes up, those are good ones.
Yep, and there's some that if they're close enough to bedding, they'll hit them when they get up on their feet in the afternoons.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, I started looking at maps and stuff. I'm like, all right, if I cross this road, this leads to a bigger piece of woods. It starts off small, but then it opens up.
So maybe he's hanging out
to a big
in there.
piece of woods. Yeah. So is he
spending
going
more time in
is
there
he going
than
that
coming
way?
back? Yeah, I see. What you're saying.
So I went and kind of drove around, parked, found a different place to park, crossed the road, and started scouting that area. And I wasn't on the other side of the road 200 yards. And I found a scrape line on top of a ridge on the other side of the road.
So
the ridge was parallel to the road, and it was every 50 yards I was finding another scrape. And then I found one giant, almost car hood size one, and I put a spy point camera on that one, cell phone camera.
Yeah.
And then it was the next day I had him on that camera, and then when I checked,
What was the time? Was it nighttime? Nocturnal still?
It was afternoon. It was shooting time.
No,
I had more pictures of this deer in shooting light than I did not shooting light. And then I'd put regular cameras on some of the other smaller scrapes at the time. And I found them on a couple of those ones, kind of same ridge line. So I started hunting him on the opposite side of the road, hunting him more because I was getting more pictures of him. He was a little more consistent over there. Coming in from the back side of that, the long way, just trying to learn the piece of property. Where is he bedding? Like trying to figure out this new piece of woods because I hadn't been in there before. So this particular day, I wanted to do a big loop, and I was trying to come in from the downwind side of where I thought he might be bedding. and I wanted to slowly poke through the bedding area because where I thought he might be bedding, I hadn't been in before.
Right.
But I'm like, with the wet weather, it's gonna be quiet. I can probably slow poke my way through there. Even if he's not in there, I bust him out. It's move slow
least
enough
you
and
c-
quiet
yeah.
enough.
Right,
Try and learn it a little bit. And
See
come
what's
up with
going
a plan.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd only made it a couple hundred yards. I was looping to the north of this piece, and it was going to be a big all-day loop. It was going to take me to get to the downwind side, and I was just slow poking my way through it. Just walk 50 yards and kind of stop and scan and walk real slow, real quietly, and stop and scan. And I got to it's an old cut area, a lot of downed logs and real trashy stuff to walk through.
They left behind. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of whips and stuff. They're growing up, the new growth and stuff. It's probably 8-9-year-old cut.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff's
6
head
feet
high.
high.
Yeah, getting
I know what you mean.
kind of tired.
Yeah.
So I came to a spot where I found like 3 or 4 good sized rubs all together. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Marked it on my Onyx app on my phone. Marked that, and I made it like 30 more yards up on this little knoll, and there was like 4 beds on this little knoll. And it was like just tall grass on this little knoll. It wasn't in the tree line or anything like that. I'm like, well, this is interesting. From this little knoll right here, they can see can see a long ways.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they know you're coming.
So I kind of like, so I kind of do a little spin and turn. I'm like, well, you got a hemlock over there, hemlock over there. I like to hide stands. Something Adam taught me, hiding stands in hemlock trees, just real good cover.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can hang a stand up here, and something comes to this bedding area, you get 20, 25 yard shot pretty easy in here for all these good vantage points. So I dropped down the other side of the knoll, and I just kind of stop and I get underneath some of those hemlocks that I checked out. And it was almost like fingers where they had done the cuts. There'd be a group of trees,
I see what you're saying.
and there'd be a finger of cut,
yeah,
and there'd be a group of trees, and there'd be another finger of cut. So I'd stopped in the group of trees, and there was a finger of cut, and I could kind of see up in there a little bit, and I could kind of see the tree line for the other group of trees across from me. I just kind of hung out there real quick, and I just kind of stopped and, just cooling off a little bit. It was getting a little warm, and I'm just scanning, and I caught movement coming off from another little knoll along that tree line on the other side of the cut. And I see the body move, so I get the gun kind of up, and I caught antler. I'm like, all right.
It's a buck.
Yeah, that's a buck.
We're in the game now.
Then he hits the next gap, and I go, not a spike.
Yeah.
I go hammer back,
See it
and then
hook
now I
around,
start
yeah.
looking for shooting lanes. I'm like, so I'm kind of got the gun up in front of him, and I'm like, all right, way up here it gets way open. I go,
Hopefully it
I
goes
don't
that
know
way.
if he's gonna make it all the way over there.
Right.
So I scan back. I'm like, there's a tight window here. There's a couple saplings.
I hate
10,
you gotta
12
shoot
inches
in
apart.
between those
Your
two,
butthole's puckering the whole time.
He's out there about 50 yards coming parallel to me, so he's coming broadside. And I'm like, I don't know if I can fit through. So I find another hole further back, and he gets there, and I give him a mat to try and stop him because he was cruising. He was
Yeah,
definitely looking for does. He was cruising. He was moving kind of quick. I give him a mat, and he never heard it.
Yeah.
With the raindrops falling and stuff, there was
Probably loud in the woods.
no reaction at all. He just kept on moving. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah. Hey!
I'm like, now I need to find another hole. Yeah, exactly. I need to find another hole. I'm like, I got that big one. It's like, I find that tight one. I'm like, all right. And he steps into that one. I yelled at him. I just gave him a real loud, man, as loud as I could. And he just hammered the brakes. And as soon as he stops, I pull the trigger.
Boom.
And it was just cloud of smoke with the muzzleloader.
Oh, then it's like, there's no deer.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I could hear him, though.
I'm going to throw up.
I could hear him running. Like, I could hear the beam breaking branch. Like I hear
Yeah.
where he goes, and it wasn't too far, and it got quiet real quick. But I'm like, I don't know. I've never shot a deer with a muzzleloader.
Yeah.
I shot one with Adam a couple years ago that we never found.
Yeah.
And that was a shot that I rushed, a nice, easy 30, 40
I
yard.
put him on a good buck.
Yeah.
Archery or was it with a gun? Muzzleloader, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I rushed it, a 40-yard chip shot wide open on that one, and we never found that deer.
You always just tend to pull the hammer back, and when you know it's something you want to kill,
Yeah.
it's just like quick.
Correct.
Boom.
Yeah. So this time, I reload the gun and take a couple minutes. I'm like, I don't even know if I hit this deer. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm planning.
First thing.
I'm planning an all day walk here. I'm like, well, if I miss this deer, I don't want to just waste my time
Yeah.
sitting here, So I'm like, well, I'll just go over. I've learned a lot from Adam as far as tracking. He's tracked a lot of deer. Now he's gotten into dog tracking.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to get
I've
into
learned
that
a lot from him too. But you're better off waiting. I'm like, well, I'll just check and see if I hit him. So I get to where I think he is, and I'm like, oh, it looks like there's like the ground scuffed up here, like where he might have taken off. But I didn't find any hair. I didn't find any blood. But it looked like I could see the hoof marks digging into the wet leaves. I'm like, well, I'll just follow this, a little bit. Just as if I find a spot of blood, I'll stop and I'll back out and give it a little bit of time. So I followed around a little knoll I made it 30 or 40 yards. And I got my head down searching hard, and all of a sudden, boom, I hear him get up and take off.
Oh, shit.
And I hear ting, 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 branches hitting off antlers, as he's taking off. And I kind of run up to kind of circle him so I can get a view on him because he's heading back out into an open cut. And I never saw him. I'm like, oh, crap. I'm like, well, he was still here. It was either I missed him, he didn't know what was going on, or, he was hurt or something.
He's bedded down real quick,
So I walked over to where I thought I heard him get up from, and there was a big old pool of blood where he had
so
been
wasn't
bedded.
going too much farther,
Yeah, I'm like, oh crap! He's bedded, and I jumped him. Like, well, what the heck? I'm like, did I gut shoot him? Like, what's wrong with you?
No one ever talks about that with a muzzleloader. Like archery, okay, give it a half hour. If you know if it's a good hit, give it an hour.
Yeah,
Should always give it
Muzzleloader.
nothing
Yeah.
less than a half an hour. I
Yeah.
don't care if he drops.
Yeah.
That's
With
why I
a
bring two
muzzleloader.
sandwiches. One
Yeah.
for when I shoot something. I sit there and eat it all. But that's
so-
the hardest thing to convince people to do.
I know, because you
it
just
is
want to
still.
get up and look. Oh,
They
did I
do.
hit it? And go
Yeah,
look for blood.
correct. So once I
Everyone's
found that
anxious,
I found that spot of blood, I followed it about 15 yards, and he went out into that open cut, and I got up on a stump, and I just kind of scanned as far as I could. I'm like, is he down somewhere? Is he standing somewhere? Can I get another shot on him? And I didn't see anything. So then I'm like, I'm backing out. So I walked out, and about halfway out my walk, I think I just got into my truck. I called Adam.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, bud. He's at work. He's
Hey,
like,
you got that dog?
He's like, what's going on?
Lucky for him, I was doing a bathroom remodel right in New Boston, so I wasn't fine. We were going to be done by about midday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey. So I'm like, this is what I got going on. What do you think? He's like, well, what do you mean you walked right up there?
I know. Everything I told him not to do, he went and did.
Why would you,
called
why
me.
would you just walk right up there? I'm like, well, I was just trying to see if I hit him. I didn't want to waste the day, if I didn't hit him. Like, I know I screwed up or whatever. So he's like, well, I'll meet up with you this afternoon. And so I went and had breakfast and backed out of there and dried my clothes because they're still wet from the rain and everything. So, yeah. And then we got back in there. We had Desha in there, and I brought him back to the spot. I'm like, all right, I was standing right here. He was right about over there. It turns out he was probably another 8 or 10 yards further back in that tree line than I thought he was.
When you shot.
When I shot,
I hate that because it's like
So-
you look and then you go back and forth to the same spot where
Yeah.
you shot, and you look again through the scope.
So-
it's right there. Then you go up and you're like, damn,
from
it's
where
not there.
Desha caught the scent, like I said, it was 8 or 10 yards further back. So the little scuff marks I saw weren't my deer because
Right.
we made it 10 yards, and he's like, "Well, look at all this blood right here. Is this what you saw?" I'm like, "No, I never saw that."
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So
He was right here. I'm telling you.
so we
Well,
made
it's funny. Hunters will tell you when they get on. I don't mean to interrupt, but they see something, and for whatever reason, it's not always correct.
Right.
Sometimes people will shoot a deer, and then they see a deer running off, and it could have been a deer that never
Behind
saw
it. Yeah.
And that was one end. So now their focus is everything's going this way.
Right.
Trees look a lot alike. You get in a stand of hemlocks. You're looking at this hemlock, but it's actually you get back there, and now you're looking at the one in front of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is probably what happened. You get excited.
Yeah.
You're looking at everything, and you don't see nothing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you walk over there and you think, oh, it was right here. And then, so of course, you put the dog on it, and
where I,
You
where I
find it right
she'll
shot
let
away.
you know what's
there
going
was a
on.
piece of flagging
Yeah.
tape to the high left of where I shot him from, and I remember that. So
Like a
like,
survey
survey,
Yeah.
surveys tape. So but he was further. It was like I was right on the right line.
Yeah.
It was just he was a little bit further back than what I thought. And he had started spitting out blood a lot earlier than what I had known of.
Right.
So when I jumped him up bedding, it was probably 40 or 50 yards of blood that.
So he's
I-
he's
that I
dead
missed.
or dying.
I mean, I wasn't
It
sure.
hit good.
At this
Yeah.
point, it was the blood looked kind of chunky. So I didn't know if it was gut but it looked pretty red. I mean, it looked
Yeah.
decent to me.
it's tough when you come in hours later to look at the blood and try to determine.
Plus, it's wet out.
Right,
yeah,
right.
So,
Plus, it's wet.
Yeah, it started snowing and
Now you
sleeting
got
on my
that.
walk
not
out.
bad that
Yeah.
give yourself that half an hour or more and wait and get over there and look at what you see, because that
Yeah.
fresh blood and everything there is going to tell. When you come in, when you leave and you come back and you try to analyze the blood, I don't care who it is and what they're going to tell you.
It's
They don't know what
different.
they're talking about, and you just can't.
Yeah.
What was there initially is changed so much that you can't really look at that unless you got
can't
real
tell if
frothy
it's
blood
in the gut.
That's about the only thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the blood
Yeah.
itself, is it dark blood? Is it like? I don't believe none of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we
You
got
should've
to
brought a sandwich. Yeah.
I've seen deer that have bled like a stuck pig,
Yeah.
and they've lived to be another day. And I've seen some that never bled much at all, and they were dead within 100 yards.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not really as easy as looking at the blood. Like they'll show you little samples of blood in some of these magazines.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
saying, oh,
about
this is
this
lung
gut,
blood, this
lung,
is liver blood,
heart,
this
yeah.
is that. I'll tell you from close to 100 tracks with the dog now that I don't believe that. The best thing you can do is wait that half an hour. Go over, by all means, and look at where you shot and see what you can find out.
Yeah.
Because when you hit a deer with a gun, especially if you're gun hunting. There's a lot. When we had the seminar for the dog tracking, they took some heavy poly. They took a roadkill deer, and they hung
shot
it up
through it?
between posts, and they shot it with a 270 with plastic laid up behind it.
How many yards?
Oh,
They give it maybe 50 yards or something like that.
He's probably 40 yards.
40 yards, yeah.
But there was stuff 10 feet in the tree,
Yeah, holy
up
shit.
on the poly.
Spray.
Yeah,
The
spray.
spray there is unbelievable. And
That what a human would never see.
you'd never see.
Right.
But that's when you know, when you bring the dog on the scene, there's a big scent dump right there of scent that the dog
Yeah.
picks up on. And once your dog starts tracking for a while, she turns inside out as soon as because she knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Really?
So you can get to some spots where
shit.
people think they hit it good and all that, and the dog doesn't turn inside out. You're kind of going, I'm not so sure you hit the deer good. Well, how do you know?
Well, my
The
dog,
doing
yeah.
that.
The dog's
Yeah.
telling me just by how she acts. So by all means, get up there and look, see what you can find, look, and then make your decision to keep going or not. Bumping a deer once isn't so bad, but if you bump a deer once, back out. Don't try to keep going after it, because you'll bump a deer once and you might get away with it. You bump it a second time, I'm going to tell you, you're going to put distance between you.
Yeah.
And if they're not bleeding good, even for a dog, it might be a little harder because now their bounds are further
Yeah,
away.
farther,
They're leaving
yeah.
less scent, and it can be a little bit harder. So you try to tell people, go after your deer, but try to be smart and reasonable. Time's on your side. If he's going to be dead, he's going to be dead.
Right.
If he's alive or he's going to take a while to die, use time. It's tough to pull out of the woods. First time I had to pull out of the woods on a deer, it wasn't
now you're
easy. I had to
double
go
thinking
home
your shot.
and,
Yeah, yeah.
mow the lawn, rake
Hit
out
it.
back, do some wood,
Anything else
try
needs
to
to be
do
done?
something. Right? And you're like, that was only 15 minutes? I got to wait 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. We ended up giving that deer 6 hours.
Is that what
And,
it was?
Yep.
Yep.
And then from the point where I jumped him out of the bed, he bled another 15, 20 yards, like little drops here and there. And then he dried up pretty good. But once Desha was on him, she got on that trail pretty good. And he probably made another 100. And
Well, that would have been a tough one because that deer started heading down the skid road and then all of a sudden did an about face and 90-degree right and went up this little knoll. So you're going along thinking, well, here's blood. Here's blood.
You're
You might
thinking
find
you're
a
gonna
little
go
blood.
straight?
You're thinking the next
Yeah, it's
bloodline's
gonna
in
be
that
straight.
straight line.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
When
he cuts
Desha
left.
pulled us up the side of the hill, you trust your dog. You learn that real quick. And she brought us up, and then he kind of swung around to maybe look for his back, and we found him in a little bit of a belly.
Yep.
When I first saw the deer, I'm like, oh, there's your buck manage right there, and that's a hell of a feeling when you.
Oh,
find
that's
someone's
crazy.
deer.
absolutely.
Crazy
Yeah.
how the deer just all of a
But
sudden,
that
I'm
would
going
have
to
been
try
one
to
that
circle
you
around
might not
almost.
have found without a dog, just because of what the
The
deer
way
did.
it did.
No
yeah.
way.
Especially
Yeah.
a muzzleloader bullet doesn't bleed
Oh,
as much either.
yeah.
And he had dried up pretty, like I said, he had dried up after the first 15, 20 yards. We found one little tiny spot
Yep.
when we started going up that hill.
Yeah.
And we had gone 60, 70 yards without any blood. And we
Wow.
found that one little spot. We're like, oh, we're definitely still on.
And how was the hit?
I hit him front of the heart, square in the shoulder. So his left
So it
front
wasn't
shoulder was
that-
jello.
Yeah, it
he
wasn't that
wasn't
bad.
using
He would
his
be
left front
dragging
leg
his
at
leg,
all. It was junk. So yeah, I hit him square in that left front shoulder and completely demolished it. So I mean, it wasn't the best shot, but it wasn't.
Oh, it
wasn't
was a
terrible.
good shot. I
Yeah.
think it was a good shot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I mean,
center mass.
It killed him.
Center
Yeah.
mass.
and he would have been down in that first 40, 50 yards if I had given it 20, 30 minutes maybe.
You think he would have died in that bed?
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
he would have gotten up if I hadn't pushed him.
Yeah,
but-
they bed that soon. Chances are he probably would have been right there.
And when I jumped him the first 50, 60 yards, that's like I was pissed that I jumped him. But I'm like, he's hurt bad if he bed that quick.
Yeah.
So like I was pissed that I jumped him, but I'm like, I just hope we can find him now because I'm pretty sure he's gonna die. I just need to be able to find him. How far is he gonna go now that I jumped him?
Even bumping him can be good. If you can bump the deer, just watch him. Try to see
What's he doing?
what's he doing.
Yeah.
Is he got a leg that's junk? Is he, you might be able to size him up. You might be able to see blood on the side of the deer or something. So bumping him, like I said, once ain't so bad, but it's, you make those calls as you go, and it's tough.
Second time.
You got to
gets
go in
worse
and at least
and
see if
worse.
you hit the deer. And sometimes you bump them up, and you see blood, what are you going to do? You're going to look to find some more blood.
Right.
But it's when you bump them that first time that you might want to just put the brakes on yourself and say, all right, I'm going to stop this for a
I was
bit.
smart there.
Yeah.
I didn't completely screw up.
Yeah, no.
Do you
Shit,
get
that
guys
stuff
that call
happens.
you from the tree stand? Hey, I just hit one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I first
I just
started,
get hit one. Have you got that look for blood?
my,
No,
my
just
dad.
shot.
My dad has 2 GSPs, and when they started, I don't know. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
when he-
probably 4.
when
yeah,
he did
four.
it, and he likes to be in the woods, and I know that takes up a huge amount of time just
Oh,
because
yeah.
I know he did it, and he would be getting calls from Berlin, and he lives in Milton, New Hampshire, which is south of here, and he'd be getting phone call at 5:30. Hey, I just hit one. I'm in my tree stand. Haven't got down yet. You think you can make it up here?
Yep.
And it was
Nope.
like, yeah, it was phone call after phone call after phone call, and he's like, I can't do it.
How do you handle those calls?
Not
To put you on a spot like that.
No, I don't mind. No, you have a little interview with everybody and try to figure them out.
Yeah.
And after the first season, I was, I don't want to say nervous, but you're not sure what you're doing, so to speak.
Right.
Well, you don't know what your
you're not
dog is.
confident. You're not
Right,
confident.
but then you start figuring out what questions you want to ask, and you start realizing you can ask questions to set people up to get answers that you
Okay, I see
maybe,
what you're
you know
saying.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So
definitely.
you start learning right away how to interpret what's being told to you and what you want to do. What have you done? Sometimes you try to ask a question to make them think that you want them to answer a certain way.
Yeah.
And if they answer that certain way, now they're going to say whatever
This guy
I want them
bullshitting
to.
me. Yeah.
So
Well, I got
it's
a little
not
bit
always
of blood,
easy.
but it's gone now.
And
I can't find it.
not everybody analyzes what happens correctly.
Right.
They might have seen a deer take off one way, and I don't think everyone's necessarily lying to you, but everyone's so different that sometimes you get on them and they realize. I think with the dogs getting more popular with social media, people are starting to think well, I don't want to go in there and screw it up for the dog. What have you done so far? I didn't do nothing, man. I backed right out. You didn't even look for your deer? You want me to drive an hour and a half or an hour over there to go look? Have you not even? Maybe you should try.
Yeah.
We've got some where you get in there and 50 yards, there's the deer.
Yeah.
You're kind of going, wow, we're not here to do that. I'm a
Right.
hunter
You could have
too.
found that.
Yeah.
I did it the whole way with my eyeballs.
Too.
But last season was crazy as far as calls. I was getting so many calls, they'd fill up my voicemail, and I couldn't get back to everyone. They couldn't leave me a message, and people were chewing me out on voicemails, cussing me out, saying, what the fuck, you going to track or what? You guys going to be, and you're like,
Hey, you got a life too.
That's what happened to my.
I come out of the woods opening day, that big 10-pointer I had, I watched him bet. I had him at 60 yards, and then he betted at about 80.
Yeah.
And I knew I was in a good spot. I could have sat there all day and waited for him.
Yeah.
Then my phone rang. And a guy over, I forget where it was now, but they had just shot one.
Yeah.
Thought they got a good hit on it and all that. Tells me the story. Well, that buck's going to be there for a while. I got a great wind. I could probably get out of here and maybe sneak back in. I'm have hard trouble saying no. Someone that wants some help.
Yeah.
Chances are,
I get
So anyway, so I left. And you get over there and find out the story is a bunch of nonsense.
Oh,
So you make
boy.
him tell me, where were you sitting? I was sitting. You could tell we were sitting. He cleared out a spot.
Yeah.
What deer was coming along here on the other side of the stone wall? The hell did you shoot at her? Ear? Because you
Right,
couldn't see
'cause you
nothing.
couldn't see
Oh,
it.
no, I could see the whole top side of that deer. I said, the hell you could. I went over there and sat down on the ground. I'm like, I don't care. Deer ain't that tall. There's no way. And he ricocheted. He got excited.
Yeah.
So now I pulled out of there to go do all that.
And you could have been shooting your buck.
And before I left that one, I got another call. So now I'm spending the whole day running around tracking for people. And it is what it is. You try to do, trying to help out, but it's gotten to the point where it's like I can only do so much. And I love hunting too much. And the previous year when I first started, I had the whole hunting season off.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind. I'd track all weekend. We'd do 2, 3, 4 calls a day, do a dozen of them from Friday on,
Yeah.
and then I'd hunt all week.
Right.
But now if I'm going to be working all week,
I only
and I
got 2
can't
days.
do it, and I try
yeah.
to do 1 or 2 a night, and then you're not getting home till midnight, 1 in the morning, and then you're
Yeah,
getting
right.
up going to work, and it started to become too much. So
Right.
I'm not sure I'm going to be put on the list for next year.
Yeah. It's good to have for you.
And my friend, right.
Friends, whoever
Yep.
needs it. Everybody's got your number who is important to you, and that's how my dad kept it. Is like I'm gonna get off the list, and
Yeah, I understand why.
because it's just too much.
I love doing it. It's fun. We've been tracking, helping people for a long time, but you just can't help everybody in the state.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
watching the dogs
Dog.
is
I
fun.
was just gonna say that.
It's
Watching
a cool
any
experience.
Sporting dog work is just
Yeah.
like,
Damn, some of the tracks that she did just blow you away. We did one over in Ware. A guy had shot a nice big buck, 200-pound 8-pointer. And as soon as he shot it with his muzzle loader, the skies opened up, started raining. I got on that deer about 4 or 5 hours later with Desha. Pouring rain. I'm talking, it was pouring out. You couldn't even see any blood. Desha never even skipped a beat. Through this old cut, over slash, over stone walls, found this thing in a pond of water. And because the guy's like, you're going to be able to find the deer? I said, I'll be honest, I don't know. This is the first track I've had with her in weather like this, but
Right.
I'll drive over there. The next town over, we'll give it hell.
Yeah.
We found that deer, and I couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it, but
what kind of dog is it?
she's a chocolate lab.
Chocolate lab.
Yeah.
Really nice.
So the water don't matter. We got
the water don't
2
matter.
years ago, like we were saying, every puddle of water was a pond.
Yeah.
So we got to the edge of that one. I got a 30-foot lead, and Desha, without even stopping, started swimming right across.
Yeah.
And I'm letting out the line till you get to about 30
Holy
feet.
shit.
I reeled it back in like a fish. Yeah. I said, we're going to hook around the other side and see if it came out of this.
Yeah.
And when I got about halfway around, I tell her, Desha, find it. She took right back into the
on
water.
It's
She
in the
starts
water.
swimming over there again. That's what I told him. I said, me and you got to draw straws, see who's going swimming. He laughed, but I said, let's just get around the other side.
Yeah.
And the bucket made it almost all the way through, and it was floating in the water.
Was it?
No
swimming?
shit.
So I just let Desha in there. She grabbed a hold of it, and we pulled his buck back in.
No
and had
way.
at it.
What?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
That's a duck dog.
Yeah, you got a hell of a
But that's
bird.
what's nice with the labs. They don't
Got a
even think
retriever.
about the water.
Yeah, no,
No,
they
yeah.
just
It gets
jump
right
right
on
in.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got two. I got Thompson. I've had since I don't know. He's 10 now
Oh, yeah.
and retired. But it was an awesome duck dog.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
He was fun, and we've messed around with him in the yard, laying out scent and stuff. I just haven't. I
Time.
wanted to. It's the
Time.
time, family, it's just too much, But yeah, labs, like their will to just work and work and work. It doesn't
She's got
matter.
it. She's a work. She started tracking like 9 or 10 months old.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep. Because I brought her home like in January, and that same year we were tracking with her come bear season, September 1st.
Yeah, come September, you were
Yeah.
you're
There
doing
was
good.
some that we found one for a guy over in
Bear
was it
tracks.
Dunbarton.
That's a
Bears are
sketchy
tough.
thing.
They don't
He's
bleed
got some
much.
good bear
I watched
stories.
a video.
I
I don't know
bet.
if you posted it or the person that.
Was
No,
that
I think it
the
was
hunter?
you. Yeah, it was your track. Yeah, climbed up in a fucking rock pile with I don't know if he had like a 45 Smith and Wesson or whatever. And did he shoot a deer a bear in the head or something? A bear that got locked up in some rocks.
Well, it was
Hid?
in a den. He had actually shot.
Okay,
okay.
yes.
He shot the bear the night before with a bow.
Yeah.
And him and his buddy tracked it for about a half a mile, and they pulled out. And got a hold of me, and I said, well, we better just, if you already gone a half a mile. This guy seemed legit. So
Yeah.
after talking with him, I felt like, I'll be there in the morning. We'll do it in the morning. Make
Yeah.
sure you bring a gun with you this time because we don't know what we're up against because
Right.
we found him alive before. So we tracked this up this freaking mountain. He what's nice is when they flag the trail off. So they're going along slow enough. They're finding blood. They're putting some surveyor's ribbon out, and they're going. So the first almost half a mile, the dog's on a scent, and I'm like, whoop, there goes a flagging.
So
There's
you
another
know,
one. I
you
know we're
you're
on the right track.
scent, yeah.
Once she's on that, I don't care what comes by. She's going to stay on the same track. And we came down this draw, and we went through a swamp. I think we bumped that bear up halfway through, but 2.5 miles later, through the thickest freaking thorn bush.
2.5 miles.
2.5 miles
Holy
into
shit.
an old cut on a side hill. We're going through it, and I can't even see the dog. The stuff's so thick, I'm getting cut from all the briars, and I'm trying to move stuff away to keep going, and the dog's leash goes limp. So now I'm thinking, well, that means we're either there or she's hung up on something.
Yeah.
So now I start walking up the lead and getting through there, and I see her standing on that pile of dirt with a rock, and that's where the bear's den was. So I'm like, oh. Now, Mike LaFleur had just done one where they found it in the bear cave, and
Yeah.
it was dead. So I come walking over thinking, oh, I got my cave bear, thinking this is cool. I go
Yeah.
and look in there, and I see the bear's
Fucking
nose
still alive.
and his 2 paws, and it backed deeper into
Oh,
that little
shit.
den.
Ew.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, hurry up.
My blood run cold, and I said, holy shit. Now, we're tracking so fast that I lose those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had 2 guys. One of them was bringing a jet sled, and then Sumner was with a shotgun.
Yeah.
So I hollered to him, said, we got your bear, but it's
It's
still
alive.
So he's like, where is it? Now, I already gone in there and got back down in there with my light, and I shined it. And I could see pretty much the whole cave. There wasn't big enough in there for him to get turned around in there.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a lot of room. He wasn't going any deeper. So I told him, you got to get down there and shoot him right in the head.
Yeah.
So, you got 1 shot, make it count. And he poked his head in the hole real quick. You sure there's a bear in there? I don't see one. He didn't want nothing to do with that hole.
I wouldn't either.
His buddy finally catches up. So I said, hey, come over here, take the dog for me. So
Yeah.
he took the dog, and I come around the other side, and I lit up the hole with the flashlight right on him. I
Fire
said,
no!
get over here, get right in there. And he was
Get right in
reluctant,
there.
but he did. And he shot it right between the eyes,
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
good shot on it.
Good.
And then it was a matter of him going in there to get the rope.
drag
How are we
it
going to
out.
get him out of there? So I always bring a drag rope with. I bring everything because I've
Yeah.
had guys who forgot their pen, their license, a knife.
Yeah.
You get there
Everything.
and you're like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Yeah.
Yeah. What
So
are
he
you
got
doing?
in there and we got the rope on. That's the one we dragged out of there. But
That's
that
awesome.
was a hell of a
That
hunt.
was a cool story.
That's another one where you go
Yeah.
so far, but you start wondering. But the dog, has a way of knowing. When you do enough tracks, you know whether or not we're following. I call it a hot track, because now I know this bear's hurt hard, but it's
Right.
still alive. And you can't turn that dog off. So what I'll do, because I'll need a break when you start going for a while, because the dog will outrun
Yeah, 2 miles.
The dog
That
will
dog's
outrun.
just still
No, you
going.
can't keep up. So we stop and let the hunters go. And if I stop and Desha walks out away on her lead, sits down on her haunch, and just stares ahead down the track
She's
and
ready
starts
to go.
whining, we're on it.
Yeah, she wants to
We
go.
got a good one
Yeah.
here, and we're going to
Yeah,
get it, you know.
that's right.
But if she gets kind of uninterested,
Yeah.
that's when you know, like, well, we could probably do this all day, but I don't think you got something worth, we'll never catch up to it.
Right.
So,
All right, we're getting pretty tight on time here just because we don't want to get too long. But we could talk to you guys all day.
Oh yeah, we'll talk all night.
We would love to have you guys on in the summer again before deer season, talk about more deer stories and
That'd be
whatnot.
good.
But
Absolutely.
if you guys could leave here just for a tip for a beginner hunter, just a quick tip, what would you give that person?
well, the biggest tip
I don't want to
always-
put you guys on the spot.
No.
but just a question.
I always tell everyone this is something that you take people out a lot. Everyone's always looking at their feet. I always tell them there ain't no deer down there. Quit looking
Yeah.
at your feet. Never look at your feet. Look down at the ground when you're moving. If you're out hunting and you're going to move, always keep your eyes out scanning ahead. If you want to, anytime you want to look at the ground, don't be moving when you do it. Look down, pick out a path where a couple of sticks are and say, yep, I'm going to walk to that tree. But never be looking at the ground when you're moving through the woods, and you'll see a lot more deer.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one. That's a good one.
Mine is something I'm trying to convince myself more to do each and every year is scout more and hunt less.
More time in the woods.
More time scouting, less time sitting in a tree.
That that is
you got to
perfect.
find the active sign. If the deer were there a week ago and they're not there right now, it's you're just wasting time. So find the hot sign and find where the deer are right now, and scout more and hunt less. I wasted a lot of time in trees over the years.
Yeah, because you just set up. You put out one trail camera without really looking at the piece. You see
correct.
there's some deer there, and you're like,
It's-
I'm gonna put a trail.
And
I'm gonna
it's
put a
tough.
stand up.
If you only have the weekend to hunt, you're like, well,
Yeah.
I'm never going to shoot anything
Yeah.
walking around. But
Right.
if you're sitting in a spot where you scouted 3 weeks ago and that's where they were, but they're not there now, it's
I
You're
forget
just-
who
you're just
said it,
wasting
but he
more
said,
time.
right, hunt with a deer eye, not where you hope they are.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my problem. Yeah, this looks good. They must be here.
yep. So yeah, scout
Right.
more and hunt less.
Awesome.
All right,
Oh,
guys.
we appreciate you guys, and
Where
thank
can
you for
they find
everything.
you? New Hampshire Back 40 is on Facebook, YouTube, right?
Yeah,
we
and
don't
got a
have
website too.
We don't have
Yeah.
a YouTube page.
No, we don't. We keep talking about putting
You
one
don't?
together.
I thought.
No.
He's got one set for the Hillbilly Weatherman. He's posted a couple hunts on, but
Oh shit! Hillbilly Weatherman's here.
I got a Margie
I
production.
thought.
which
I
use
thought
for
though,
just
if you
testing
type
stuff,
in
but
New Hampshire Back 40 on YouTube,
You got some.
There's
I
there's-
feel like
it
there's
does,
a
but
page
it comes
there.
up on a Margie production.
Okay, that's
Okay.
what
So
it
that's
is.
something I
Okay,
used to
it
do.
is
yeah.
that.
So it's
Yes,
not an
correct.
actual NHBack 40
Yeah.
YouTube page.
Maybe it's
but-
time we do
Okay.
that though.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Like I
Yeah,
said,
you guys-
It's about time.
I need to get more technical on that side so
Yeah.
I can help out.
I
You
hear
can follow
there.
Kevin on
work.
Instagram. I think you, Adam, you don't have an Instagram
I
up
think
right
Hillbilly does. When I first got going, I had a guy set me up with a website and all that stuff, and I just never use it. So
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
follow me, but you ain't gonna find nothing.
now. Yeah.
yeah, my Instagram is just K
Facebook. I
Plant.
always use Facebook for
Yeah.
exposure. If there's one thing I learned about social media with the whole Hillbilly thing, is if you want to get exposure, Facebook's the way to
Free
do it.
advertisement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
And they
Instagram
spread it
though,
around.
Instagram's taken off like with
Big
picture
time.
wise. Like everyone's just going on there looking at pictures. I feel
Correct.
like that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yep, and that's
But-
usually what I'm doing on Facebook too. Is just looking for pictures. I don't
Yeah.
care what people have to say.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, but they can find you on Instagram.
Yeah,
at,
I'm Instagram KPlant_NHBack40.
awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't
All right.
even know that.
Yeah. He's
Well, now you
technical.
do. All right, guys. Thank you, and hope you guys drive safe tonight.
Absolutely.
Be good.
See you guys.